grumpy repeater you buy.
All right. I think I got my audio fixed now.
I heard that once the grumpy repeaters are out in the real world, that we're going to have this meeting over the mesh instead of Discord.
You try to trigger people.
What you saying? It can't happen?
I mean, theoretically, we could stream a transcript, but that would hurt the network quite by, well, depends, but wouldn't be great for the network.
We could surely test the batteries on.
You try to trigger people.
That is one of my concerns with, I know MeshCore, I believe it's called MeshCore Star. They support like photo messaging and there's no limits on it. And I'm concerned about, as we see more and more people, not on purpose, but seeing like, oh, I can do image messaging over the mesh, and then use it not realizing that it's designed for direct to direct, and just killing, like, well, not killing, but extremely hurting the network.
But how are people going to know about that? Like, majority of people are going to think this is text only. And I think there's enough people here to speak up to tell everybody this is text only.
I agree, but I'm speaking on the side of, as MeshCore becomes more and more popular and we start to see, not fully general, but start to see people that are less into radio communications getting into it.
I don't know. We'll see, I guess.
You know what happens?
Different is I have a bad echo. I can't figure out why.
There's a lot of empty space in your head, most likely.
Oh, no, I agree with that. My wife would really agree with that.
You know what happens whenever there's a power failure on the cellular network, when people's ISP stops working for them, they grab their cell phone and start processing their feelings and checking the weather and all that stuff on their cell phone, and it brings the cell network to its knees. What happens whenever the cellular network, when people's is an emergency communications system, MeshCore will be subject to the same, people getting on and using it and loading it down in emergencies, power outages, and things like that. So it's something we need to think about. Yeah. Yeah, but we were talking about sending photos over. Yeah.
Carla's the only one I heard try to test that out, and she brings it up.
I feel it's the issue of, because I think most people know that it's not safe to push. Even if you had the restrictions over like one hop, someone's going to go in there and just remove your restrictions, especially for open source apps. Just because, even to some people that are just tinkerers, which I know is growing rapidly. I have a ton of friends that aren't into radio at all that, ask me about it, about mesh, and kind of mess with it. But I don't know. That's kind of just one of my concerns as it becomes more popular, but we'll see.
This is my first time in the voice chat. I'm Don Newcomb. I happen to be Ross's Thinkable Dreads next door neighbor, and he and I have been.
We're sorry.
Well, you know, he does a lot of nice stuff, but I've been into. I'm not a ham. I've never had a amateur license, but I've been into communications, satellite communications, telemetry, things like that for quite a while, and I found the LoRa an interesting technology, and am fully into it now. I'm trying to get in touch with the amateur club at the Armed Forces Retirement Home in Gulfport to see if we can get a repeater on their roof. I haven't had any luck so far. They're kind of not communicative.
I'm gonna tell you, this is just my personal feelings, which I never ever let anybody know. I always keep that kind of stuff to myself. But ham clubs, and I'm sure majority of the guys, especially the ham guys around here, will agree with me. It is literally a crapshoot. You have some groups like the Tangible Hoe group that was so responsive to us. We had guys when we went to our first meeting that said, "Hey, I'm not interested in mesh, but I got a 50-foot, 75-foot, 100-foot tower at my house. You're welcome to go put something up." That's how responsive they were. And then we look at the Ascension Radio Club that I'm a member of, so I'm allowed to talk about them. And there's not a single repeater. Well, I think they got one repeater finally. I don't think they have anything to do with the amateur club, but that amateur club is completely non-responsive. So that's the point is, like, you never know what you're going to get.
I'm gonna tell you
Yeah,
this: if any of the amateur clubs say they love HF and hate everything else, you can forget about MeshCore, and that's 100% a fact.
Yeah. My only thought with regard to them is that it's an amateur radio club in a 10-story building. And if they have access to the roof, it might be a go. Getting something like access to the roof of the Hancock Bank building or the Markham building or one of the big condos on the beach, something like that, would be very difficult. But if there's a ham club that already has an antenna on the roof, it might be something that we would have access to. We could get access to. So it's just something I've been. Yeah.
Do you know if that is the same group that is the Biloxi Ham Club?
No, this is a specific club at the Armed Forces Retirement Home made up of the residents of the Armed Forces Retirement Home.
You might want to talk with Gus WG5GK. He is ex-military. He is not a part of the other amateur club. He's in the Van Cleve Club, and he's wanting to get in the mesh. And he was in all the military stuff over there, so he might be able to help you with all that. He probably
if I get in to go to talk to them, I would like to bring a ham who is a veteran.
Right.
And so that's, because these people have respect for other veterans. They're all ex-military and they have respect for other veterans. They have respect for hams. They don't know me from Adam. I have an in because I volunteer there.
And I think K5BLX, he's in here. He also is in that area, and he might be helpful.
Yeah, I'm actually less than a mile away from Gus. I was going to shoot him a message too to see if he's interested in getting involved.
So Don,
I've got my neighbor over here too, just down the street. He's a veteran as well. He's interested, so we can have at least 2 or 3 interested in the local area.
This be great.
If you want to get on the military side, just bring them some crayons. All the Marines will be happy.
Yeah, from the Texas side, I actually work for agricultural, big farm manufacturer company myself. Think about like competitor to John Deere. So I'm just starting to get into this to kind of understand how it can apply to farming and stuff, the kind of out there where there's some parts where you don't have a whole lot of, cell communication. But
Where do
I
you live?
do. I live at near Austin.
Okay.
So, but I also know that from a last meetup I went to over here, that there's a major hospital network who's one of the I guess higher ups over there is investigating core mesh and how it can also relate to hospital communication.
Yeah,
So
agriculture is something we really need to look at. It can be used for monitoring the water level and cattle tanks for this, whether a
yeah,
gate is left open or closed,
yep,
all sorts of stuff like that. Getting practical telemetry type uses rather than just people shooting messages back and forth saying good
yeah.
morning to each other would be a
I was
big
about
in.
I was about to ask that question. If anybody in here knows, at least at the end of this meeting, would be willing to help me out with that. I want to do stuff with water gauges. If anybody
I
knows that information.
Yeah, I know our hardware team was actually looking at incorporating LoRa in our modems for equipment telemetry. But there wasn't enough of a use case yet to kind of warrant the extra cost to have that included yet. So
I think the Meshtastic side probably handles sensor data better than the Mesh Core, but I think it can be done on either side.
So MeshCore actually has a special separate firmware for sensors, and especially with regions, and there's other ways to handle it. It doesn't hurt the network too much as long as it's set up correctly.
I have just, my whole opinion on that is, and I actually have a guy out of Tallahassee, I think it is, that's been contacting me, asking me for help on getting on top of building. And I don't mean it to sound negative, but I'm sure he's taking it as negative. But I don't know anybody, ham or, ham equipment or mesh equipment. I call it the blind river, the blind buy, sell, whatever you want to call it. Going, he's like, well, I'm just going to email these people and tell them this is for emergency stuff. And I'm like, good luck, buddy. Every single building that I know of, and majority of y'all that I know that y'all been successful either on towers or on buildings or on any that kind of stuff, hospitals, anything, has always been somebody knew somebody who got our foot in the door and basically told the boss, vouch for us and basically said, hey, listen to these guys, or hey, these guys are doing this, and kind of got us in the door. There's no telling how many emails these companies probably get about putting stuff on top buildings and towers and that stuff like that. I had a guy texted me earlier about putting something on a tower that was owned by American Tower, and he's like, "Man, this is going to be for emergency comms." And I'm like, "They don't care if it's emergency, as long as you're sending them $1,000 a month. It is what it is." And I hate to sound so negative and asshole, but it's like we've been there, we've tried it. Hey, you might be the first guy that you don't know anybody that's at the ABC 123 building, but so it does. What's Michael
Your
Scott's
best
thing?
bet is to actually knock on somebody's door.
But I mean,
Go
but
knock on the
Michael
door.
Scott's thing is you miss every shot you don't take. But just I guess if you go in there with low expectations and like, hey, the worst they can tell me is no, they're not going to kill me. It's
Well, so from our side, it was actually somebody within the hospital network
there you go.
who is like a director or something who was investigating, who was at our meetup last week, who was wanting to maybe put something together to present to,
Well,
because he was like, he manages multiple hospitals. I think he's the IT guy that is in charge of multiple hospitals.
that's what it takes, though.
And was
That's
yeah,
what it takes.
yeah, exactly.
Exactly. But I have a funny story is we have been in the New Orleans area. We have had zero success with Ochsner. Zero success. I've tried and I've tried and I've basically given up. Then I got a buddy who out the blue calls me and says, hey, My wife works at Ochsner XYZ Hospital. All the employees are talking about this mesh core thing. So somebody at the Ochsner level, on the employee level, is telling them about mesh core, and that kind of like the stories that we used to hear where, you know, if an employee, husband or wife, is stuck there at the hospital during a hurricane and the other spouse didn't evacuate and is close enough to text, that they can use this thing to text. And I'm like, absolutely, but we're willing to put it on top, you know, at least some of these Ochsner hospitals, but it's their own people that's blocking it. It ain't us. And they were completely unaware of that. But at this point, I don't mind throwing them under the bus because, you know, we've tried it with these Ochsner. I just thought I don't know if it's hilarious or it's a good thing that it's, you know, these aren't ham people. These aren't your GMRS people. These aren't radio type people. And they're getting wind of this mesh core thing. That's how much momentum this thing's getting right now. And like I said, is tell them to hit up whoever they got to hit up at that hospital. We're willing. I said, I'm sure if this is, you know, depending on what hospital it is, I'm sure I can get somebody to throw a repeater up there. But y'all got to work on your end. I'm not going to meet with no more Ochsner people so they can grill me about internet security when I keep telling them till I'm blue in the face, we're not getting on your network. And then they're going to ask me questions again about the network. And I'm like, are we breaking up here? Like, you know, I don't get it. But, you know, I understand they got to do their due diligence. But, you know, at some point, I'm too busy to keep having meetings when they're going to keep asking the same things over and over.
Well, I would hate to be that guy in Georgia at that GMRS network.
I'm so sick of hearing about that. Oh,
I
God,
know.
I'm so sick of hearing about that.
He got his ass in the crack. Now he's got to live with
Right,
it.
but hold on. The more I'm reading about it, do you know how many times he's been warned already?
A shit ton.
He's been warned a shit ton by the FCC, and this is their first formal letter, which is a warning also. And if he goes and tells them, I'm shutting this down and we're shutting this down, it's over with. And while I'm not going to sit here on this live and tell people to break the law, it does prove Grumpy's point that these people who think that, oh, if I am, you know, if 34 dB is the max or 36 dB is the max, and if I have a 10 dB gain antenna, I'm going to be at 37 dB, and the FCC's coming with Black Hawk helicopters and bombing my house. No.
Hey, Grumpy, can you just, I know, very high level, can you explain what you're talking about? Just curiosity.
Well, there's
I just learned about this myself. So yeah.
I think it's like, is it 36 dBm or something like that is the most power you can put out at 915 megahertz. You're using a 30 dB radio at 1 watt, which is the limit. So technically you can't use, you know, if in a completely clean environment with no loss, the most you can put on there is a 6 dBi antenna, which then gives you 36 dBm. And
yeah, the FCC regulates how much you can send out power wise.
But
that's what he's talking about.
What I'm learning though in the Grumpy repeaters I'm building now is I'm talking to different manufacturers on like just the jumpers. Like I want my jumper. I'm not trying to turn this into a sales pitch. I'm just trying, this is just kind of leads into it, is depending on which kind of connector you put between an SMA or IPEX and the kind of end connector and the little shitty cable that goes in between, I'm learning that there is a shitload of loss. And if you losing 2 or 3 dBm, you can then go with a 8 or 10 dBm antenna, 10 dBi antenna, because you have loss. Or as we've learned with, I'm going to kick them while they're down, the P1 Pro, as some people have measured, is not even putting out the power that they're saying. They're only putting out, I think Scarlett said like 18 dBm, somebody measured at one point. So with 18 dBm, you can go put a 15 or 16 gain antenna on it and be legal because of how much loss there is. And my point I'm trying to make it is, again, because this is being recorded, I'm going to say this again. I'm not telling anybody to go break the law. What I am telling you is the FCC is not out there measuring if you have a 36 or 37 dBm transmitter. There's no way they're going to ever detect that. And if you do get somehow caught and they do come measure it, you're getting like 6 warnings first to do something about it. They're not coming down with $10,000 fines or anything. Just like this guy right here with with this GMRS link system. Not that I'm getting completely off topic now, but there's like 6, what is it, like 5 or 6 repeater pairs on GMRS, and they have all 6 pairs linked up where nobody can go put a separate repeater out. That's idiotic. You know,
That's the
Yeah,
biggest
grumpy.
complaint.
So I actually know some of those guys, W4FDT and all of them up there. And I agree with you. Like they pretty much think they own the airwaves. They charge for access. It's a very
that's where they gotten
group.
shit at. That's where they're getting shit at.
Yeah. But yeah, I actually used to be on it way back when I lived up there and was in that area and have family up there, but been for years now. I haven't played on. But yeah, they put up a lot of fancy repeaters. Um, they pretty much took over all the pairs and then they charge access for it, and then they think they
Right.
just run it.
They're locking down all the pairs, so you can't put anything else up. So you were forced to pay them to basically get on GMRS. That's where they screwed up at.
Yep, they got greedy.
And you know, my only thing is the FCC screwing with them because of that? You know, while I understand it's GMRS linking, and that's what this is technically about, my wonder is if, and I know this will never happen, people will never agree to this, but just follow me. What we would really like to see is GMRS take, somebody did a YouTube, I think Ham Radio 2.0 did a video on this. Let's take 2 pairs of GMRS and say these 2 pairs of repeater frequencies can be linked. These other 4 can't be linked. I think people would go for that, and I think the FCC would go for that, and everybody would have a nice day.
And I'm gonna make Luke happy right now. Make those 2 pairs DMR only.
Well,
That makes it easy.
I don't see that.
I heard DMR.
I don't see that. But my point is, what my fear is that this grows to eventually ham radio linking and different things like that, and that's what I worry about, is that the slippery slope that this gets called. But anyway, this is
if you, I'll tell you this much: if you listened to the meeting, because I sat through the 3-hour live meeting they had, the ham guys were all basically like, "We can do that, but they can't." So
Right.
ham radio link is fine.
Right, but anyway, back to mesh core. So, yeah, if that kind of explains everybody with the FCC thing, like I've had several people ask me about putting out a 2-watt repeater on Grumpy Mesh, and I said absolutely not, because you legally can't do it, you know. And if you, I'm not like We Hooper, I'm not keeping track of who's got buying stuff with whose call signs and stuff like that. I'm not, you know, so I'm telling people, don't break the FCC thing and put out 2-watt repeaters. But if you go over by, because you're putting a 10 dB backcountry out, I really don't see an issue with it because of the amount of loss in these Amazon feed lines. But anyway, especially if you have like some of these people putting 3 and 6 foot feed lines on a mesh core repeater, you definitely got lost there, and you don't have to worry about it, even on a 1-watt transmitter. But all right, so let's jump in this topic that went so well the last time I brought it up. I got the agenda. I'm sharing my screen. At least I think I'm sharing my screen. About region settings, and it kind of went off the deep end last time, and I think I started getting a little frustrated, and I think I missed kind of explaining this thoroughly on what this is about, or maybe I did, and people just are dead set against it. First thing I want to say is, and I hate to try to force everybody to take their medicine, you know, when it tastes like crap, but this is coming. It's not if or when. I mean, it's not if, but it's when. We have a group chat started with 4 or 5 of the other regions that are in it. Scarlett's in it too. She can attest with some of this, but this is coming. I am not saying I approve of it. I am not saying but I'm happy about it. I have been dead set against region settings, regions, codes, or whatever you want to call it, since I brought it up. I think Dan or somebody brought this up, months ago, and I was like, absolutely not. Why would we limit ourselves? But what we have found out is as other regions start adding their region codes, if we want to continue to text with them, and if we don't want our stuff to go forward through their mesh, which they don't want, we're kind of forced to do this. Now, what I'm going to say is this is not coming tomorrow as far as limiting our text. What everybody's kind of doing is taking the slow approach of adding codes into repeaters today, or as you install new repeaters. Again, guys, I'm up to 46 repeaters right now. I have 46 repeaters. And some of the codes have changed already because of us talking to other regions. So I kind of, jumped the gun a little bit. But basically, we're trying to take this opportunity to add the region codes. Now, I understand some people's, the possible issue that comes up is when somebody brand new from the hospital who doesn't even know this group exists and tries to go put a repeater up and doesn't have these codes, there's going to be an issue. Listen, I'm not saying that's not going to be true, but this is the same issue that 10 Mesh is going to have to deal with, and Georgia's going to have to deal with, and Florida, and East Florida, and Tallahassee, and you name it, they're all going to have to deal with it. So
Hey, Grumpy, sorry to interrupt, man. I'm sorry. Somebody brought it up in chat as well. Are you able to record these sessions? Because
Yes.
I would,
it's being streamed right now on my YouTube, and Scarlett also records
okay,
it.
cool. Awesome. Okay, yeah, because I would love to be able to post this on the Awesome Mesh group as well.
Yeah.
Thanks.
But basically, putting region codes in your repeater allows your repeater to continue on the message, if that makes sense. Eventually, at some point, like I'm gonna use private messages again. If there is a local group called DMR, because me and Luke and a couple of guys discussed DMR in this region, meaning Lafourche, Livingston, St. James, St. John Parish, and just that area like that, there's no reason for that private message to eventually start hitting Austin, Texas. There's no reason for that message to go through Houston. There's no reason for that message to go through Pensacola, Florida, or Tallahassee, Florida, when we're just texting around here. So eventually what happens 2, 3, 4 months down the road is we will pick a code that's already in the repeaters. And if it's a local code, we put that in our companion. And from now on, whenever we transmit on our little private channel, only the repeaters that have that code will repeat it, which means if it's a St. James code or whatever we call it, Slidell doesn't have those codes. So when Slidell possibly hears that repeater, that message, it's going to say, I'm not forwarding that. And that's all these codes do, is when a message gets to that repeater, it says, I see this code, I need to forward this. Or I don't have that code listed, I'm not forwarding it. And that's the basic I'm trying to get across right now with codes is it's basically your repeater saying this message has this code included, I need to forward it, or I have no idea what this code is because it's not in me and I don't need to forward it. And that's what it is right now. Now, obstacle 2.0, I guess you would call it, is the public channel right now is what's called unscoped. There's no region scope going on. So that's why we can hear when we have skip going on or propagation, we can hear Austin. We can hear Tennessee. We can hear the east coast of Florida sometimes. But eventually what's going to happen is these regions are already talking about blocking unscoped messages. And which means at some point, any message that does not have a code when it's sent in your companion in that channel, whether it's public or whatever, it's not getting blocked. It's just not going to get repeated by that repeater. And I know what's weird is I have 2 or 3 people telling me, hey, this group's doing it, this group's doing it. But when I go, like, I'll use perfect example, he brought up Austin. Somebody told me Austin's supposed to be starting this. But when you go to Austin, you don't hear nobody really talking about it. So, but it is going to happen at some point. Another problem is going to be is that Tennessee and Georgia's talking about using U.S. Southeast for public. That means that if they want to continue public, we have to put U.S. Southeast. But I'm told last night that some people are using U.S. South and some people are going to use U.S. East. And the more that gets split up, the less chances you are going to hear people on a public channel. And even if they use U.S. South or U.S. East or U.S. Southeast, as you get to Texas and to Austin and to El Paso and to New Mexico, they're not using U.S. East anymore. So your chance of hearing any kind of skip. And what happens is your companion is going to show the message that it receives personally. So let's say somehow you receive skip from New Mexico. Just bear with me. And while you're outside jogging with your companion, you're going to see that message. But when you try to message back, you don't have that code in your thing. So you're not going to, you see how complicated this can go? I mean, we could sit here and talk about this shit all night with all these different examples. The big thing is right now is we trying to come up with the region codes and region settings that we can start sharing, that we need people to add to their repeaters. We're not blocking anything. They might start blocking us at some point, or not blocking. I keep using that word. Their repeaters won't forward stuff. So we're trying to come up with a list of codes. And I even came up with like a Drive document of, a couple of different things of what codes we would use and different things like that. But that's changing as we discuss it and what we're finding out that other regions are doing. And the problem is it's hard for me. Like I reached out to 10 mesh people. Nobody's responded back to me. Georgia people, I haven't heard back from them. So it's like, we have to kind of know what they're doing, right? So we can all be on this same page. And part of me, I joined MeshCore because of my history with ham and DXing and different things like that. I thought it'd be cool to be able to text from here to Florida and here to Tennessee and stuff eventually. Where this shit's going to cut all that. And like my a-hole comment I made last week, and I made it last night on Discord. If we're going to start limiting this shit this much, we all go back to Meshtastic. One reason that lured us to MeshCore is 64 possible.
DX channel.
No, we're not doing a DX channel.
You just need.
We jumped into MeshCore for 64 hops or even 32 hops. But now we're going to limit ourselves with region codes. I mean, DX channels doesn't mean anything if New Orleans has DX channels and Georgia doesn't, right? Or if Tennessee doesn't, which they're not. You see my point? Like DX channels don't mean nothing if we all have DX channels here.
Yeah, that's right. But if that's a method of just being able to go everywhere.
But it's not a method when you need the other half. We can't even get them to agree on the codes. You see my point? Like, we can't even get them to agree on that part.
We're not only in danger of losing communication with larger groups outside of our region, but if we don't decide on a standard within our region, we're in danger of losing capabilities of talking to each other when this comes.
Right.
So I have a quick question.
About this.
So my question is that okay, so I got a repeater inside the Superdome for the arena, and I'm expecting fans to come over. They want to bring that. It'll work inside the dome. But if they're coming from out of town, if they don't have like the MSY or whatever codes, then it's not going to work going to the repeater, correct?
Well, in the beginning, as we keep things scoped, yes, I mean, I'm sorry, unscoped, it will work.
Right. But if we decide to start putting these codes in, these region codes, then it's not going to work. So you'd have to know these region codes before you travel somewhere. You know, that's why I don't like that, because my whole idea is that fans come and they can still use their mesh core.
But follow me when I
devices.
say this. Basically, every region is doing this. So wherever they're coming from, they should know that this is happening. You see what I'm saying? Look, it's pain in the ass, because I can't imagine, like, I just went to San Antonio. Now I'm gonna have to go to San Antonio and see what codes they're doing. And if when there is skip happening, I'm in San Antonio trying to, on a wing and a prayer, trying to hit back to New Orleans, that ain't gonna work. Even if skips open because of the region codes. Like, I'm not disagreeing with y'all. It's just, this is something that's coming. That's like,
So the one thing to remember is that this doesn't affect direct messages. You'll still be able to direct message as long as your companion is able to figure out the path to it. As long as your companion is able to path to it, your messages will still go through. Or
That's
direct
something
But
that
direct the messages to
I'm
what?
interested in.
direct messages, as long as your companion can figure out a path to it, which does have issues when you talk about really long messaging. The companion needs to be able to see adverts to understand how to path it. There are some other ways about that, and I know there's been a lot of talk about that, but nothing actually usable now. As long as your companion can figure out a path to it.
Right. So you're not talking about on a private channel. You're talking about what I can't even get
Direct
to work
messages.
today. You're talking about a direct message companion to companion, right? Well,
Yes.
Yeah. I can't speak for that, but 99% of the people are going to be using like a private channel.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's, I get, I get where you're coming from with it, but it's kind of like, if we don't do this, then we're still on the island.
Yeah.
You know, and we're not getting out the Louisiana state lines, if that. I mean, really, because if Lafayette decides to enable it, we're not even getting out of the Baton Rouge, New Orleans area at this point.
Hey, Conrad, I think it's somebody sends a message and you're open, you can respond to that specific person and it'll attach the region code they used, and you can actually talk to them.
Yeah, but if you're initializing the message, it ain't going to get to somebody. It's because it's not going to pass through to the repeaters.
Yeah, but if you're open on this thing, you could put their regional code if you want to reach out. But if you're actually open and they've got regional codes enabled, when their message comes across, you can respond directly to them and target them, and it'll route it to them. It'll add their region code to your response.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
And I will say there has been, not just from me, but from other people that of other apps. I know like MeshCore Open, people have been talking about it for that, is to try to make things easier on the user side, to try to, assuming at some point we can get a proper way to figure out everyone's region codes across the country, start to be able to bring in ways to be able to set region codes a little bit easier, rather than having to go on a website and go to like the local group's website and then find what all their region codes are.
So if
that sounds like a good solution to it, if you put it in the meshcore.open, yes.
Or if there's a little script you can run or something like that. There's a line script that we were looking at yesterday where you would just basically copy this entire line script for your region, and it would have everything in there: U.S. Southeast, U.S. South, U.S. LA, U.S. LA MSY, U.S. whatever, and it would just, at one blip, it would just put everything in there. And you know, if I'm sharing my screen right now, I'm thinking y'all can see it, but this is kind of like what the example of the codes would look like. And I would share
That's
this.
hard to read. If
I
you
don't
can
know.
make it larger.
I don't know how to make it larger. Let me see if I can.
You could do shift scroll wheel. Shift scroll wheel too.
Yeah.
Control scroll, control scroll too.
That might be
Okay.
what I'm thinking. Thanks. Yep.
All right. So basically what I have is, because you can't see it now because I zoomed up, but on the bottom I have tabs for each state: Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, Texas. And I've shared this with the guys in the Florida group. I've shared this with the guys in the Alabama group. I've shared this guys with some guys in Mississippi. But basically, depending on what area you're in, it tells you what you need to add. Again, ladies and gentlemen, don't go rush and copy this shit down and go, because this is changing every time we discuss it. So this is kind of where we left it, but this is not even 100% accurate right now. Today was a horrible day for me at work because I was getting back from San Antonio. But basically, no matter where you're at, you would add these 4, regions, because this is probably what the public channels are going to be using. And as long as a text message comes through on the public channel that has one of these 4 codes, your repeater would forward it. The problem is when you try to, talk back, I don't know how that's going to work. If that's going to work like Russ says, where we know the code came in with US South, so when we reply, it's automatically be US South. I don't know.
That's that is like in the protocol. That's completely a possibility, and I can see apps integrating that.
Right. So that if that's the case, that makes this way easier. Way easier. But basically, no matter what area you're in, you would add these all areas section. Now, Texas, I don't know if he's in here or not, but Texas is not the Austin area. Let's say the areas other than Austin, Houston, Beaumont, and Port Arthur and stuff. There's nobody even in that region herding the cats to even say what they will or won't do. But basically, if I'm in the Baton Rouge, this is, I guess I would call this normal Gulf Coast area. If I'm in the Gulf Coast area from Baton Rouge to the Mississippi state line, in addition to these green codes, I would also add LA, LAMSY, and GCLA. Y'all should already have this one in there. And then you can go as further, like I'll keep using the example of like me and Luke and a couple other people talk. You can go and add your own code also and share it just on y'all's repeaters, and your messages won't go all over the mesh. Like for GoSep, if for all the EOCs from Lake Charles all the way to Slidell, we would use USLA. Therefore, every repeater has USLA in it. And when we send a message on our companion, we would have USLA. And therefore, when we send messages back and forth to the EOCs, it does bounce around the repeaters for LA, but it won't bounce through Florida. And then, Lafayette, whatever Dinky wants to come up with for Lafayette, this is kind of what they're using already, I think. Lake Charles, since I'm kind of the adopted person of Lake Charles, this is what I do for Lake Charles. And then Mississippi would be the same thing. They all have the same first 4 codes. And I think this is going to be USGC, as we were discussing earlier. We keep going back and forth on that. But if you're in the I-59 corridor, or as I call it, Picayune up towards Hattiesburg, and those guys that are also, coming in around Natchez or Jackson or whatever it is, they would add this. They would have to add the Gulf Coast one that we're using, and they would also have to use the coastal Mississippi one because they're also in coastal Mississippi. They're also in Mississippi, I mean. If they're along the Gulf Coast of Mississippi, they would just add these. So they would add the first 4 and these last 3. Then go in Alabama. Alabama would be this, and whatever. Now, Mississippi's talking about doing zones. I don't know how, I know how I feel about that, but it is what it is. If that's what they want to do, and you live in Alabama and you want to be able to pass on Alabama messages, but like if you live in Louisiana, there's no reason to put in this Alabama Gulf channel code, because if Mississippi don't have Alabama Gulf, this message is never getting to your repeater to forward. Does that make sense? So people who are going in there and who are putting deny on regions, there's no reason to put deny, because if it's not allowed, it ain't getting passed. And then same thing with Florida, depending on what counties and stuff they're doing and stuff like that. And like you see right here, like there's Georgia, so that the Georgia stuff can come into, and then they got Alabama, and then they got Mississippi. But basically, that's what the codes look like. And then for right now, you would leave unscoped by itself as allowed because we're still allowing unscoped. So that means any messages that we send that does not have a code on the companion gets passed. However, like I said, you have other regions already talking about blocking anything that does not have a scope on it. So I know this is a lot. I know some people's brains are probably got fraud, and trying to take somewhat baby steps to get y'all, get everybody to kind of understand this. But it's making me lose my hair also.
The main thing is right now it's additive and a protection against the future. It's not breaking anything at this point.
Correct. As of right now, you go and add in these codes. You can go add all these codes. You can go add every code that's in here on every state. You're not going to stop or break anything. What it's doing is when we have to start using it, it's going to prevent it from getting stopped or breaking it.
And the other big thing is once it's necessary, it's going to be too late to come together as a region and make a decision. This is the kind of thing you don't want to have to do overnight or go back and fix all at once.
Well, and that's why I'm bringing it up right now too.
Yeah, you establish a convention early, you start to follow the convention as you can, and then when you need it, it's there.
Yeah, and the way I look at it is the way we're adding repeaters, and every day you're seeing 2 or 3 new repeaters adding, 2 new repeaters adding. You try to start getting this message out now, so when we do, you don't have as many people saying, "Why am I getting less messages?" You know it's coming, and who knows? To some people, this might turn them off. But I just want to make sure everybody knows I don't have my grumpy crown. Oh, I do have my grumpy crown right here, but I want people to understand this isn't Grumpy doing this. This isn't Scarlet doing this. This is something like our hand is basically being forced because of what surrounding regions are doing. And it's something we have to kind of start swallowing in baby sips instead of full gulps. And hopefully Scarlet or somebody can come up with an easy way to go add all these codes. But listen, but I'm gonna tell you also is if y'all still looking at my screen, eventually I want to change it to US. So what I've did is, I have this on my screen, mesh core. But basically, if you're watching my screen, you can, if you're on the app, why am I? I want to make sure everybody can see it. Sharing my screen. All right. So as we look, let's go to. So I'm in my repeater right now, as y'all can see. I hope everybody can see. When I go to settings and I scroll down, there's manage regions. As I add one, I would do right click and paste. I have the full thing. The longest one I'm going to do, US-LA-MSY-MM. I got that one first. I'm hitting the check mark. When I hit the check mark, it's there. Now I'm adding another one, add region. I'm going to right click and paste it, and then I'm going to delete the MM off the back. All right, that one in. I'm going to add a region. I'm going to right click and paste it again. Now I'm deleting the MSY and the MM because it's on there. Now that's on there. I'm coming back, and then I'm going to paste it again. I'm deleting everything except US. And then the only one I got to add after that is US-GC. check mark. Now, all of them say flood allowed. I hit the green mark. I have just added all the codes into this repeater. That quick. Now, I'm not stupid. If for some reason, you can't get to the repeater, you don't have a great signal, it's not going to be that fast or that smooth. But, does anybody have any questions? Like, I don't want to keep beating a dead horse over and over or lose too many people, but I know there's probably a good amount of y'all that have colorful comments on this.
I got a quick question. Is there a way to make it? Let's say I'm going to Reno. Will I be able to go to, say, the mesh mapping map, click on Reno, and have it show me what region code that specific area is using?
Actually, I saw somebody share and I think, I don't want to take the credit away from anybody. Was that Kaboozy started one for Florida, and then Scarlett was also looking at one, and I saw on the Mesh Core Discord itself, or somewhere in one of these regions. I've been in.
I remember
Forgive me.
seeing. I
Yes.
remember seeing somebody starting a map like that.
Yes,
But
yes.
if it could be incorporated somewhere where everybody knows where it is, then it makes it a lot easier because you're not having to figure out what code you're going to need when you're traveling. You can look it up beforehand, punch it in, and be good to go.
But I think that's
Yeah,
up
the
to each
actually
individual
actually-
region having to make something like that. Like that's up to like you go to Reno, there's got to be somebody in the Reno area to feed that information in there.
Yeah,
Same
the
thing, vice
the
versa. In
FG
Reno,
part.
they're not going to know what codes we're using, so they can't make a map.
Right.
So.
But if there's some way we could develop a central depository like the Mesh Mapper. Mesh Mapper picks up your GPS signal and shows you the area, the region outline that you're in.
If I know my
Something
fellow
similar
geeks,
to that.
if I know my fellow geeks in the Mesh Mapper world, I mean in the Mesh Core world, somebody's trying to come up with a central repository for the whole thing. Because again, some people have been doing regions for a while now. This is nothing new. This is just new to our, I'm gonna say region, quarter of the United States from Tennessee south. So this is not nothing new. Like Scarlett, do you know of anything, or as Kaboozy on, like, do y'all know of anything like he's talking about that anybody might be working
Yes.
on nationwide?
Yes,
Good.
there's actually been quite a few people, and my concern is, there's a lot of attempts, not only attempts, but people actively working on it. But it's the attempt of getting the cycle of having one centralized repository, and then there's 5 centralized repositories. That's kind of what I see going on now, but hopefully before we start to see this becoming more adopted, that will become to a point where there is one proper one. And I think we will see that in a few months or a few weeks even, something more centralized and something that you can say, this is the place to go to, and it will most likely have the region codes for every area.
My issue with the region codes, I don't see it much differently than codes on a 2-meter repeater. It's just a code that allows it to pass
tone,
on. The
correct.
only time right, it's no different than using tones. The only part that makes it difficult is the unknown factor. I can go to repeater book and look up a tone and figure out what I need to enter in my radio. So as long as the codes are accessible, then it becomes sort of neat. It becomes a neat point.
Well, that's why I'm making, at least for right now, this trusty Google Drive document that everybody, once we know that these are the codes we're going to settle on, I'm planning on sharing this everywhere: Facebook, Discord, websites, and not that, listen, I'm not stupid, I'm not dumb, I'm not naive. New people, like the friend I'm talking about, I keep using for example, whose wife works at whatever so-and-so Ochsner Hospital. If they were coming completely new to this and don't know about this group, they don't know about these codes. I'm not naive. This is the same problem everybody else is dealing with, but it's a start. It's, I don't know. It's the same thing if you go into a certain area and you got to go look up and see what SF are they on and all this other stuff like that.
Be a bad idea.
Go to the all-day sweat test. It's
That's gonna be all the repeaters. Okay.
antiperspirant. Let's go.
Wait, say that again.
Repeater book that's the app that everybody uses them from the TV now. Having all this stuff in the app, the repeater book app, where the repeaters are, what codes are on, that'd be a very handy thing. But we'd have to get the repeater book people to add mesh to it.
I'll just say from a developer's perspective, the program is the easy part. In fact, I and a few others have stopped and started again because the foundation keeps moving. What you're trying to do is get the largest amount of people you can to agree on a standard. The Gulf Coast mesh being a pretty big group. If we could come up with a standard, then we can start building stuff around it. But as it is now, the biggest risk is not having a standard and having everybody just doing their own thing. And then that becomes a moving target that's just hard to help with.
I think the issue is, like I said earlier, going off of that, what you're saying, somewhere that standard's changing. Even if all of us, we have a good relationship here, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, at least on the Emerald Coast side, us, Lafayette to a point, them guys are busy, but they're still somewhat, we can come up with a standard. But at some point, as you're on I-10 in Pensacola, as you drive east, that standard's changing. We don't have them looped in. As at some point, and is Kabusi here? I know I keep talking for him. Yeah, Kabusi's here. At some point, he can say how close they are right now to start talking to Alabama, which is already talking to Georgia, which is already talking to 10 mesh. At some point, 1 or 2 key repeaters can get installed, and we're about to open this shit wide open. We're about to go from driving a Model T at 20 miles an hour in mesh core to 200 miles an hour in a Lambo. Because Kabusi can tell me if I'm wrong or not, but I think we're that close to opening these gates wide open. And when we can't even get messages through because everybody's good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. It's hot. No, it's not hot. Oh, if it is hot, that and all this stuff like that. Who's going for a boat ride today? Which, look, I have no problem with that shit being on the public channel. I wish some of the more testing stuff. Hey, what's the testing here? Can what's the test? How many hops am I getting? I think that should be on the test and the repeater testing channels, but that's a whole nother subject for another Monday. I'm not the king. It's all everybody's mesh. They use it as they want. But my point is, I think we're this close to busting these seams wide open. And when that happens, I want people to understand with no region codes before is 2 EOCs can be texting in, on a channel in Tennessee, and that stuff's going to get passed through Louisiana and vice versa. If we do a region check of EOCs from GOSEP, we got Tangi on board and Livingston's on board and St. Charles is on board now. St. John's on board now. St. James is on board now. Assumption's on board now. Whatever other EOCs are jumping in. Washington's going to be on board hopefully in the next 2 weeks. And if we do a Wednesday region message test with GOSEP, those messages are going to go through Georgia. But if we use a region code and say, hey, we're just going to put that on USLA, and Mississippi and Georgia don't have USLA added to their stuff, those messages stop. And we don't prevent, we help prevent clogging up their network. And they're doing the same favor for us. Is by adding region codes of US Tennessee, that shit stays in Tennessee and doesn't clog up Emerald Coast and Mississippi and Louisiana. Does everybody kind of understand that aspect? I know I'm beating a dead horse. I'm so worried about trying to explain this the right way, that this is not Conrad being the king. This is not Grumpy trying to be the asshole, that this is just coming. And I'm trying to prevent us the best we can to prepare for this storm. I think it's going to be a good storm. I think it's going to be it's going to be cool that we can text this far. But, we all get excited when we see some trop and, we can text to Austin and we can text to Tennessee. We all get excited over it. I get excited over it. That's why I got into this. But at some point, unless we're going to SF5, which a joke. But anyway, anybody else want to take over for me? I'm exhausted now.
Well, I'm just happy to know that I can direct message when it opens up. I can direct message from Long Beach to Pensacola, and it won't get trapped by region codes or anything like that.
I mean, Don, I think no matter how this goes when it comes to region codes or not, us over here on the coast, we're not going to be in a great spot either way. We're just too sparse.
Yeah, but that's today. We said the same thing in it where we're at 3 months ago, 4 months ago. And I keep saying is you never know when the right repeater is going to get linked up. I don't want to say too much, and I don't want to.
Yeah, I live 45 miles north of Baton Rouge, and mine works.
Without getting too many people overly excited, I can tell you that I think is Dent G in here? KE5IZE. I don't want to speak for the man, but I'm gonna tell y'all, I think y'all in Mississippi are about to get very happy. Just put in the pot for a tower climber, or about 20 of them, if you can read between the lines, and send a good Christmas gift to Kent G. A really good Christmas gift. But I don't want to speak for him. He's not in here. But read between the lines. Mississippi has the potential of passing up Louisiana. You heard it here first. If we can get Pat Clear to climb about 30 towers. What's that?
We'll know in October.
Well, get your legs straight.
I know. I got to start losing some weight.
Me and Dent have been talking a lot on DM. He's new. He's been he's going to be a very big asset to this mesh group, and he basically runs the Mississippi statewide radio system. So read between the lines, Mississippi. Just be patient. I think I'm gonna have mesh core coverage at the hunt lease.
I mean, that would be great.
So reading between the lines, that means there's two kings, and we're going to join kingdoms.
Hey, if he wants the crown, look, he wants the crown. I got it right here, ready for him. He can have it.
You gonna let him conquer you?
Dude, he can have it. He can have it, brother. I'll give him the whole pay rate with it too. He could have the whole salary that comes with this shit.
Maybe we'll downgrade you to prince.
No, well, I don't think he's putting up 45 repeaters. I think he's going to have access.
Sounds like a challenge.
I think he has the access that if we want to donate 45 repeaters and can get a tower climber, we'll see. He's going to be a good asset. I've been talking to him for a while. He's a really good dude, and he got bit in the ass with this mesh core thing, and he's full gung ho with it. And he's a great guy to have as an asset to us. I was hoping he'd make it tonight, but so.
Hey, what kind of protections do y'all see getting built into this against spamming in the future?
There is none.
Where people, yeah.
There is none. UK deals with a lot. We've had that issue with somebody who made some custom firmware, and it accidentally started adverting every 90 seconds. And it was just bogging stuff down. The Pi MCs, which are on like 3 or 4 towers now or areas, have a way of jailing those, where at least on the big towers, it's stopping some of that. What I've had to do was, when that happened, was I actually went to some of our bigger towers and changed them over to SF9 for because you can put it as a timer, go to SF9 for 90 minutes. Just because my fear is that if it keeps, those things are constantly transmitting all these towers and stuff. If those batteries die, depending on what kind of radio's in it, what kind of batteries in it, those batteries die, that radio is locked up until somebody climbs that tower and resets it. So that's but what is good is, and what I threaten is, I know people on SWAT teams and stuff, and with these PI MCs, you can have repeaters out there that have no GPS on them, like a certain chaos guy that's across the street from my office. And as long as you have enough observers and enough repeaters, it'll use triangulation and it pinpoints where that person's doing this stupid shit from. And again, that's I guess that's one way of looking at it. Go knock on the dude's door and say, please knock this shit off. You know. And I have to think, Scarlett can talk more about that kind of stuff, but I have to think at some point there's gotta be, does Meshtastic have that? Like, I'm just curious. Like,
Not really. It just bogs down the network in the
yeah.
protocol.
Because I mean, you have guys in the UK that'll sit there and make 10 repeaters and call it repeater 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and just make them all advert nonstop and do stupid stuff. Like, I guess every hobby's got a sad, it's not just sad hams, it's sad mesh people too. I wish I had the time to do
Now,
stupid shit like that.
now I have seen some PRs for people trying to get something similar to like what PyMC has into baseline firmware, but a lot of it is just testing before it ever hits mainline.
I guess it has to be a balance between, if I want to lock out a repeater from somebody who's doing something stupid versus somebody who just pissed me off, so I don't want to forward any of his messages anymore. Like, it kind of takes away from the whole open mesh, open source, open everything thing. I don't know. Oh, there's so many repeaters around it. Even if I go and block them from all 47 of my repeaters, there's still enough repeaters around here that it's still gonna get passed around anyway. I don't know. Anybody else got anything about region codes before I move on?
You said that wouldn't affect like direct messaging. That was just like public channels and that type of stuff.
Well, first I'm gonna say this, and they got people who are way more experienced with this mesh thing. I only play with channels, the hashtag channels, private channels, and public channels. I have never, and I've had a couple people also say this. Maybe we're just bad luck. I've never got direct messaging to work. If I've tried to, now it's one thing when I have two of my companions next to each other right here. Yes, I can get those to work all day. But I'm talking about, like, if I tried to DM Pat in Baton Rouge and I know Pat's next to his thing, I could never get that kind of direct messaging through the mesh to work. I'll say that first, but maybe that's just me. Maybe I got something toggled wrong. But yeah, they're saying that if you can get that to work, it should work. I don't know how, because to me, if you have unscoped blocked eventually, that's an unscoped message. So I
So
don't know.
how it is it's unscoped for floods. So that controls
Oh, okay.
floods. So anything past, so not only direct messages, but remote management, room servers technically, and in the future, if other things come out, like a hardware side group chat somehow, in the future, as we see newer things come up, all of those will work as long as it's not a flood. As long as there's a path and it's a path packet, it will pass through just fine, as long as obviously the prefix is there to pass it along.
Y'all got that?
Hopefully.
I'm sure we'll be discussing it a lot more in the future. We have to get, like they said, we have to get the region settings thing locked down first, like what codes we're using and stuff like that. I don't know if there's a limit of how many you can even put into a repeater, because part of me says, oh, we put every possible combination that's in there, and whatever we settle on is ready to go. Because like me, I know I'm not saying this as a brag. I'm saying this as nobody's going to feel this pain as much as I am, unless there's somebody out there with 40 repeaters. Pat might be close, but like I got to go drive around 40 freaking places and put this code in.
There is most definitely a limit the number of supported repeaters you can use. There's also a limit on the number of characters that can be supported by the naming convention.
See, I didn't know if they was supported or how many letters, like because of the message itself that's being sent through the mesh can only handle so many letters, like the message body, if that makes a sense, or if it was the actual repeater that couldn't handle that many characters. I saw you sort of say that earlier, but I meant to ask you that if it was both or what.
It's both. So the repeater can support a specific number of repeater regions, but all of the applications used to manage the repeater lists are limited to 160 characters total for the list right now. So they would be in there once they're programmed. You would be blind to them. You would have to know that they're in there. So that was what I was detailing on Discord.
Yeah.
So bottom line, the number of characters used for repeater regions matters, at least for the foreseeable future.
Okay.
And in general, shorter is better with lore.
Well, yeah. I found that just by, if I'm sending some long-winded text message that's all 135 characters, whatever it is, that one has a 90% chance of going through versus 3-word, anyone get this type thing. All right, anybody else before we move on? Or we can always come back to it after when we want to talk until 10 o'clock tonight, we can do that too.
I'm a total beginner. I have a question. I don't know if this is a good time.
Come on, man. It's always a good time for beginners. What's up?
So, okay, thank you. So I just ordered 2 Heltec V3s and I programmed one of them, successfully flashed it, and I'm getting messages sporadically on the public channel. I don't have really great service like at my house. I just get really sporadic messages coming through like all over the property. I took it up onto my roof, tried to see if that helped. Didn't seem to help really. 2-story roof. Um I'm in Mandeville.
About to ask you that, like, without telling us the exact street, tell us kind of a general area where you're living at. But if it's Mandeville, I
East.
can tell you right now, the trees are killing you.
Yeah, I figured it's the trees. I live in a pretty wooded area.
Scott's the mayor of Mandeville. He knows. He's the local mesh region coordinator for Mandeville.
Hey, I'm in Mandeville too. Where you at?
I'm in East Mandeville. Like kind of near Pelican Park.
Okay, I'm probably around you. I'm around I-12 and 59.
Okay. Yeah, I saw a couple repeaters kind of near me on the map.
Mandeville has been a hellhole for us, right? And that's me putting it very nicely. I'm sharing the screen right now, but
So can you see those 1088 repeaters?
1088. I'm not even sure what that means.
like, look, if you're on Discord, you can look at my screen that I'm sharing, and I have the Explorer pulled up right now. If you go to, have you been to the Explorer map or the Louisiana? or the
Yeah,
Analyzer
actually,
map?
okay, yeah. I'm here. I have it pulled up here on my desktop. No, it's not. Okay. Yeah, so the closest one to me here on the map, B559 and
B6E.
Yeah, those are the 2 closest ones to me. But I haven't picked
Yeah,
up
so I'm the ones
I
further.
haven't discovered those on my MeshCore app yet, even though I've discovered like 81 repeaters so far. Sorry, go ahead. Did you Mandeville? Sorry, what was your name, dude from Mandeville?
My nickname's Mesher on.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that makes sense because your messages come through the most reliably for me on the public channel.
Well, do you have a repeater at your house, Franklin?
No. So all I've done so far is I just ordered 2 Heltec V3s on Amazon, and I just put one together a few days ago, and that's all I've got so far. Just a little companion V3.
Yeah. See, like especially that area. Not that we're trying to make anybody spend money, but what we try to tell everybody is the best way to utilize the mesh is, especially if you want to use it from inside your house, is putting some type of repeater outside your house. But I mean, if you're outside trying to play with it, then that really is a moot point. But Mandeville's hell. What I will tell you is and I haven't told anybody this because I wasn't here last week, but I had a very, very, very successful meeting. For those of y'all who remember, I was supposed to have a meeting not a couple of days ago, Thursday, but the previous Thursday, I had a very successful meeting at the St. Tammany EOC with several of the fire chiefs or people who were in charge of fire departments in St. Tammany, and they have all verbally announced that they are buying 10 of my repeaters when they are ready for sale, and they are littering those around St. Tammany, mostly in the Mandeville area. So Covington, that kind of area like that, and including will be their tower that's on, is it Gerard Street, and another one on 22. But 1088 is one that we discussed, just that they don't have a tower, but they're saying they can still possibly install something there. I don't know. But I think Mandeville's another one that you're going to see in the next month when we finally got the Grumpy repeater ready for sale that they're going to be jumping on. So I think you're going to see Mandeville improve some. But on your companion, do you have it set to SF7 and CR8?
I don't think so. Let me check. I don't
mean,
know what
and
that
usually
means.
CR doesn't really mean anything if you're seeing your message go out, but you being on the fringe like that, I would still tell you to put it on CR8 for the hell of it and hope and a prayer.
Okay,
Yeah, I think
so
I use
that's
CR8
coding rate.
Yeah, coding rate. Put it on 8.
Okay, yeah, I have coding rate 8 and spreading factor 7.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. Okay.
Blow, hold it high up in the air and blow on it.
Yeah, right.
Before I
In 2
installed,
bytes.
Yeah, in 2 bytes. That's an experimental settings. Look at experimental settings on your settings and make sure it's on 2 byte. Somebody else was saying something.
Before I installed my own repeater, and Ross got one next door, so we've got both repeaters in Long Beach and within 100 feet of each other. I would I had a little flag hoist, a pulley on my TV antenna. I have a TV antenna, and I would run my companion up the mast and experiment with it over Bluetooth, getting it up in the air as high as possible. And that, when you're dealing with trees and things like that, your slant range, what you're going through on your slant range is significant. So the higher up you can get the companion, the better.
There you go.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks. This is all great information. I appreciate it, guys. So, yeah, so far I've just gotten on my roof with my companion node. Hasn't seemed to do the trick. I was going to get up today again, but it was raining. But I do have some really tall trees right here on my property. So yeah, and I'm definitely willing to invest in a basic little repeater. That'd be awesome.
Hey, also
What does
the
a coding
antenna
rate
you have.
do?
Yeah, I was just gonna say the antenna you have on your companion might work checking into that.
Yeah. Hey,
What does
Dean,
the coding rate do?
it's error checking.
And it's supposed to be on 8.
No, it's only on 8. It's kind of like it's speed versus getting through, if that makes sense. If you're close enough, like me at my house right here, and I got a repeater behind it, and I got 8 repeaters around St. John Parish, I'm on 5 because 5's got the better speed and doesn't need all the error checking and stuff like that. 8 is go ahead. Yeah, you can probably
Real
explain way
quick,
better than
sorry.
I can. Go ahead.
So in the protocol, that doesn't actually affect the speed of like how long by marginally, not comparative to like SF. Where is I did a write-up on I did like a quick write-up on it a while ago. I'm trying to see if I can find it that better explains it better than I can off the top of my head. Let me see if I can find that one moment.
But I think
All
Dan,
my
I think
meters
Dan or
in my car
somebody's
need to be on 8, huh?
well, I think Dan or somebody kind of said it perfectly earlier. If you're sending messages out and every single time you're getting, repeated one time or whatever, it says, you would think I would know after looking at the screen all damn day, every day. If it says heard 1 repeat, heard 3 repeats, heard 4 repeats, you can keep it on CR5. If you have an issue where occasionally it says sent and it doesn't hear anything, then you start bumping that thing up to CR7. I don't ever mess with CR6. It's like CR7, CR8, and hope that that doesn't really have anything to do with receiving. It's strictly sending out. But if you're in a good enough area that you're constantly seeing, and it's only from you to the first repeater. So if you have a repeater on top of your house or in your backyard, you can keep it on CR5 because you just have to hit that one repeater. And what happens to it after that is between the CRs, between every repeater, if that makes sense. But Franklin, if you want to DM me later and need me to walk you through anything, I'd like you to probably go over your setup with you a little bit and see if there's anything else we can tweak instead of, during the middle of the
Yeah,
meeting.
yeah, that sounds
I have a
awesome. Yeah, I'll
question for a
definitely DM
user.
you.
Just DM me.
I have
Awesome.
a
Thanks
question
so
for a
much,
user
guys.
out there. Billy, K5BWN, are you on here? I don't know if he can hear or he's got his mic turned on or not, but I have a question for him because I saw looking up his call sign that he lives in Frierson, which is up by Shreveport. And I was wanting to know if he's got anything working up that way.
Well, they're trying to establish because they contacted me earlier. We saw them somewhere earlier. And I actually invited them to the meeting tonight and told them to come listen to the meeting tonight because they're trying to kick off mesh core in that area. And
I'd like to know how that's going to work and how good it works with all the freeway radios they have down there. I mean, over 1,000 915 megahertz radios, in the oil field. And Frierson is one of the areas that I installed probably 15 towers in. Well, if I was still out there, I'd be able to. We have so many abandoned antennas on towers. I probably could have easily put up something.
I finally made
Yeah, where is
contact.
that located?
Well, I work when you cross the tracks in Frierson going into the oil field. I installed at least 15 towers out there.
Oh, okay.
How is your signal strength and your noise up there?
I don't have a repeater up yet. We're working on all that.
Okay, well, let me know if anything can help you. I might even be able to find you somebody that lets you use an antenna that's already up with. We got a bunch of towers. Some people abandoned some of the antennas on.
Yeah.
Out in that whole area, the whole oil field area, I installed probably 500 in just the Freeport area, freeway 915 megahertz radios. So, be interested to see what your noise floor is over there, because that's going to be the only problem that I would see in that area with all the the 915 megahertz stuff that's already installed out there.
Okay. Yeah, shoot me an email.
Okay. I think I've got your profile here. I saw you on QRZ. So, yeah, I'll send you. Is your email on QRZ?
All right, Roger.
Yeah. Okay. I'll find you something and see if we can talk about it. Okay. Next person. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
I made contact with somebody who runs the Tex Arc Louisiana group or something like that, because they have Mesh Mapper going all the way down to Alexandria. But when I talk to them, their footprint is nowhere close to that. I mean, they got a small kind of cluster north of Louisiana. So if Shreveport takes off from Mesh Mapper, I'm gonna walk them through that and how to get their own area established, and because that Mesh Mapper region is double the size of ours. But that's a whole nother subject for another day. For whoever was asking about the CR stuff, if you look in the text area, the comment area, Scarlett forwarded the thing about the CR and what it is and isn't and stuff like that. So if y'all want to read that. Moving on, just for the sake of moving on, and we can continue talking forever, how long y'all want, but just so we can get through the agenda. Towers. I know y'all have heard me say this once or twice or 3 times, but we have finally caught up at work. Yep, after being in San Antonio all week, I was this weekend out with tower climbers working on stuff for work, and we got that stuff knocked out. We have the schedule open, and we are going to attempt again. I'm not going to promise it this weekend because I'm moving my daughter into LSU, but we're aiming for next weekend, maybe Sunday, if the tower climbers are free and Jim at the EOC in Washington Parish is free. Next Sunday, trying to get Washington Parish finally installed. Again, I'm not going to tell you I'll hold y'all hat on and nothing like that, because it could be about a 50% chance. Everybody's schedule has to line up. But again, that'll be another tower. I don't know what their ground height is, but that is going 400 feet up on their tower. So I think that would really help. In addition to our new best friend from Mississippi, with what he can offer, I think we're going to light some shit up. Well, that's this right here. So, hey, we're growing and have to manage it. But does anybody have anything else that the Thibodeau Tower that's on my agenda at some point? Trying to get the tower climber back over there to repair that one. Oh. I guess y'all can't see, but on my live I can see. I actually have if anybody wants to know what the inside of, I'm not even going to try to stream my YouTube, but I might even just do a separate video on it at some point. I actually have my Signal Plus antenna that was struck by lightning, and everybody wants to know what's in the middle of a Signal Plus antenna, and I have it. There's a fan right there, and it is crispy on the inside from the lightning strike. So if y'all want
put
to
a picture up on it.
I'm trying. I'm gonna take some pictures and throw it up on the thing. But yes, it is a little crispy on the end. Looks like I held it too close when I was roasting my marshmallows. And not that much damage on the outside. It's got one hole in it. And if y'all saw a picture of the board was a little toasty also. But I thought that was cool, because I know some of y'all wanted to know what was inside of the let's see.
Hey, Conrad, that tower at Washington Parish, the ground level's 282 feet.
There you go. So you're looking at 682 total feet. It might do a little bit. Let's see if I can. I'm
Do I
sharing.
need to rush out and update the firmware, or can I wait a little while?
Well, we're gonna talk about that as soon as I finish sending these pictures out. It kind of looks like a Harry Potter wand, to be honest with you. So if you look at the pictures on Discord, that's what a Signal Plus looks like. If y'all can see it on the inside. But it's a little crispy. Anybody got anything else for towers? Pat, you got anything going on?
No, I've been working on another radio, which I had gotten from Mesh Smith a while back. It's the Ether Mesh board, and he had to send me a new flash file because it didn't work correctly. And I actually soldered an SMA connector to the side of it to make it a semi-grumpy board. But it seems to be working. It's a 1 water. But is that antenna, is it copper on the inside or brass?
Yep.
That's nice. That's the way they should be built. Be interested to see how the other ones are made, which would be, backcountry and so forth. I would think they'd be similar. Towers are going good over here. I was at Sherwood today talking to Gabriel. So, you know how that is.
All right, so going back to
Hey, so I real quick, I set my experimental thing to 2 byte. And thank you for that. And then the next step I want to do is actually make contact on the public channel. Seems like none of the messages have gotten out, or none of the message responding has gotten back in. So I'm thinking I should just drive over to like a good repeater and just send some messages out from the parking lot. That would probably be a good game plan.
are you inside your house right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, that ain't gonna work.
Well,
Not,
no,
not in
I mean, like,
Mandeville.
because I've been bringing it all around town and walking around on my whole property on the roof and stuff. Nothing seems to get out very well, but I haven't gone to, like, I saw in Covington or Mandeville, wherever, the Lakeview Hospital has a repeater. I figured maybe if I go over there, it would work, maybe.
Yeah, it's got some good height.
And then, like, once I'm real close to a good repeater like that, then that should connect me into everybody else, right?
Yep. And I just sent the message on the public. Said testing for Franklin. I guess you didn't get it.
So why did you pick a V3 over a V4?
I got you, Grumpy, up here in a beta.
Yep, I heard him too.
He might have went outside to try to check that out. All right. So anybody else got any tower or building updates? The Hale-Boggs Bridge repeater. That's the bridge that goes over St. Charles Parish, over the river in St. Charles Parish, 310, whatever you want to call it. That repeater should be going up. I have it penciled in for Thursday. If I can, Dave, who lives in Ormond right there, is donating a V4 with a backcountry antenna and some batteries, basically everything except the box. I got an extra box. I'm trying to pick that up from him tomorrow, get it built, get it running for 24 hours, and then I'm gonna go up there Thursday, hopefully, and install. So that'll be another one that should help kind of that general area, because there's really nothing right there. South, I guess it's north technically. If you look at a map, it looks south, but really it's north of the airport along the river. I guess growing up in New Orleans, that just doesn't seem right to me. But anyway, so So that's going to be like 15 or 16 stories high. So that's going to be a little bit of good height. And I'm done after that. I'm tapped out. I know I've said it before. The only reason this is getting done is because Dave's donating everything. But right now, everything I got's going into this business. So, you know, anyway, that's all I got. Anybody
Grumpy,
else?
did you see when you took that antenna apart? Did you see any capacitors between center and shield anywhere? No. But that would have been interesting to see if they had any, because that's what would burn up.
I got the little foamy stuff that makes it so that the rod doesn't bang against the fiberglass, but that's nice and crispy.
Yeah, yeah. If there would have been capacitors, it would have been toast.
But it's wild to me. I keep talking about it because it's like on the outside, y'all saw it. It's got one little hole that's literally the size of like less than a dime. That's all it is. It's one little hole. But the inside of this thing is, when I pulled it out earlier, when I had somebody Dremel the fiberglass, the amount of ash and crap that came out of it when I pulled out, that was unbelievable. Like the inside is fucked. And that's the nicest way I can put it. I might do a video on it for all these people who think, you know, because I'm going to tell y'all, I reused the lithium batteries in it in a new repeater that we installed somewhere. Batteries was perfectly fine. I tested them, put them on a charger. They're charging. The solar panel's fine. It's strictly the antenna that took a hit and one capacitor or something. I showed y'all that on that. I don't have it with me, but on the V4. There's one of the little black circuit boards or something on it. Broken half. That's it. It's wild. Wild. I have to get the East Jeff at some point. That's not an easy thing, but I have to get the East Jeff because that, for some reason, that radio is adverting, but that's all it's doing. It's not passing any messages. It's not doing anything. So it's some kind of like semi lockup thing. And that's a 1 watt rack. So, but nobody's complaining about any kind of problems in that area. So it goes to show you we have some pretty good redundancy now compared to when I first installed it. And my Lakeview repeater is down also, but that was in a piss poor spot. That's at my buddy's house. All right, going on to Mesh Core 1.17, like somebody brought up. I'm just kind of letting y'all know that it's out there. I know y'all find this hard to believe, you know, but I kind of made this asinine comment on Facebook to the guy who puts it out. Like, all I saw in it was more updated power save crap for more boards. There might have been a little bit different header stuff, but other than that, I'm like, are we just gonna keep putting out new firmware because of power save? You know, just put an extra fucking battery in it and call it a day. But that's just me. Scarlett or Dan or anybody, does anybody know anything different with 1.17 that we need to know about? I can tell right now, I'm not going out of my way, because I know this question came up earlier too. I'm not going out of my way to update to 1.17, but I'll let Scarlett and them discuss the rest of it.
I would say just the biggest thing with this update was just power saving and then support for new boards. And the biggest thing is the new chip, the SX2021Y, I think is the name off the top of my head. Someone should correct me on that. It's the new 4th generation lower chip from Semtech. That brings quite a lot of improvements to the SX1262 that's inside of every lower board you see now. That would be probably the biggest change in this update. Outside of that, it's just power saving and some structural changes.
Saw something about Bluetooth for doing updates on the P1.
Kabusi, you're really low. Really low. Try to up.
What about now?
Still low. And I got you at 140% and I can barely hear you. Can y'all hear him? All right.
Barely.
No, he's quiet.
Barely.
I heard there was a fix for the P1 Pro OTA. That I'd love to hear.
I have zero faith in OTA. I'm not saying that just to pump my own product, but I still have a P1 Pro that I have not updated since 1.15 because I refuse to do it OTA. And it's too hot to go
See,
get
I
my
got
token truck to do it. And I'm not locking no more shit up.
see. Remember, I got it to work going to 14 because I put it on an older one, but after 14, it just won't work anymore.
The OTA won't work anymore. The repeaters work. The P1 Pro works, but
Yes,
yeah.
but the OTA won't work after 14 currently.
Caboose, you with it? You want to try
Yeah,
again?
can you hear me now?
Oh, you sound
Yes.
perfect now. I got to turn it down. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I noticed in the change log there was fixes with the OTA. So I'm not sure what exactly they fixed with OTA updates, but there's if someone wants to experiment, but they did something like that.
That'd be a Luke, because Luke's got a bunch of them.
Yeah, I'd test my low one that's at 10 feet if that's true, and that's
And Luke, it says something about
1.17.
Luke. It says something about you hook DMR to it now too. So
No.
And then the other big thing you got to watch out for is if anyone has epileptical seizures to flashing lights or strobes, be very careful. Certain devices, it will flash the screen after the update and until you power cycle it.
Thanks for
It
bringing
happened
that
to
up
my
because
Gap,
I meant to bring that up. Thank you for
Gap
bringing that up.
562. Yeah, it didn't do it on the Heltec V3, but it definitely did it on the Gap 562.
Somebody else brought that up. I don't know if it was Facebook. They were complaining about it also. Basically, the display doing wonky things. Some people said it was a bright white screen for a while and they had to do something to it. Like not blinking, but just like almost like a solid, or just the hue was different or something. I don't know. But there's been a couple of different things. It feels like we just came out with .16 last weekend, so I don't know. Has anybody put their devices on 1.17 that can tell us all about it?
got one of my companions in the new repeater. That's the file he sent was a 1.17 from Mesh Smith, but I can't tell anything.
I'll go either tomorrow or Friday. Well, I say Friday. Either Friday or Saturday because we're putting up the GMRS repeater down here, the little local one. I'll update my two P1 Pros I can get to.
You go network it.
What's that?
Network. You go network it to Chris's setup.
Fuck no.
All right.
If it helps, I updated my P1 Pro to it, and no difference. I mean,
it still sucks. No, I'm just joking.
It's still garbage, and quite honestly, as soon as
you
I
said
put
it, not me.
I'm done.
I tell you,
the only way they're worth a damn, I have found out after trying 12 different antennas now, is the Rockman 10 dB is the only way to make it worth the shit.
I've got a backcountry on it right now, and it's still shit. It barely reaches 4 miles from the house.
Yeah, but see, Luke has his every 3 miles, so that's why he doesn't have this problem. I keep trying to tell him that.
Exactly.
They got their fire station strategically placed for Meshcore.
That's
but
right.
Tim Springs had his up there on that school, and it was working pretty good.
I think personally, for the ones I have, because I've got one in Vacherie. Well, I'll say this: it's all about the conditions and where you're at. Because my one in Vacherie can't hit a damn thing, but since we put up the St. James EOC tower, it hits it like it's freaking no tomorrow.
And all
Same thing with my
jokes
grandma's.
aside, that's what I have told everybody about the P1 Pro. All jokes aside, I know I bash it, but in the Gulf Coast area where you got people like the guy in Mandeville that can't hit other repeaters, a P1 Pro is not going to work. But if you go and put one up in St. James or St. John Parish, where we got 8 repeaters around the parish, you're likely going to work. It all matters placement. You know, if you only need a half a watt, then.
Which for you guys that question why I use the P1 Pros is because of that reason right there, how much stuff we have, and also because they're only for the indoor building coverage. That's all I wanted them for. And then now, when I want to do some longer range stuff, I'll get some 1 watts, which I'm actually grumpy. I was going to speak to you about that in the next week or so, but I'm
No
going to start making
discounts.
some 1 watt stuff, or get the grumpy mesh here in the future. But yeah, my P1 Pros are specifically for indoor building use at those buildings, and little short range coverage. Because my one at my fire station down the street, I can go about 3-ish miles away on my companion and get back to it, which is pretty impressive for only being 10 feet off the ground.
Hopefully we'll see what the backcountry can do when I pair it up to this Mesh Tower V2 that should show up like Wednesday or Thursday.
Oh, dude, that backcountry.
I'm gonna
That's
tell
what I
you,
keep saying. Is that
I was
backcountry
in
with the
denial.
P1 Pro work? Shit.
I was in denial about that backcountry. I have to say, until I put it up on the St. James Tower, and the fact that at 300 feet, the range it's getting is just phenomenal. And while I'm still not saying that my Laird isn't the best I put my hands on, but the price difference, the Laird's not worth it at the backcountry. You know, you see what I'm saying? Like you might not be getting the exact performance of the Laird 9026, but you're also not spending $320 for it either.
Yeah, when I priced those, I was like, look, I'll spend some money for performance, but Jesus Christ.
Well, when we were buying them for helium, they were 157, 160 bucks. That's why I had 20 of them, because I was making that with the helium crypto project, and they made a significant difference. So they pay themselves. I wouldn't pay for that now. I'd just buy, one of the backcountry.
Y'all going with the 10 dB gain or
Every time.
7 or 8?
Every time. 10 dBi.
Dude, I got a 10 dB mounted to the truck now, just as a board driver. It's fucking great. I love it.
Board driver. Then you go through the McDonald's drive-through and you hear donk, and that's it. Hex reservations. I was just trying to add a fourth thing. I'd see some people still, worried about what the hex reservations are on the repeater control channel of Discord and stuff. I do want people to remain mindful of it, just, because for those of y'all, like, this is something a lot of y'all newer people who've been here in the last month or two don't really realize how much we fought with this just 3 or 4 months ago. Back then, every time you programmed the repeater for the first time, you got your V4 in the mail from Amazon, and you go to the MeshCore app and you programmed it for the first time. They're just using some goofy algorithm to come up with a MeshCore code, hex code. You still have to go to the Discord and check that hex just to make sure it's not being used. Now that we're on 2-byte and it's the first 4 letters that you have to be concerned with, you don't really, I don't think I've ever seen a duplicate since we've moved to 2-byte, other than vanity codes. Like, I knew at some point somebody was going to steal my boob, B00B, and it was somebody in Austin. That's why I didn't worry about it. But just to kind of make everybody aware of it, just make sure that, occasionally you go and you check repeater book and you make sure, I'm not repeater book, shit. You're going to be saying repeater book. You go to the repeater control channel and just check to make sure that, you can go and you press / list, LIST, enter, and it's going to populate every hex that an observer has seen so far and some that have been reserved, and I like to use 56. So I can come on here and like 57, 56, 56, 56, 58, 56, and I can make sure I'm out of 56s now. 5B 56, 5C 56. But anyway, what I was saying is just check it. The only reason you really need the reserve at this point is if you have a special hex that you particularly want that's not being used today. I personally, for those of y'all who are, y'all can't see my screen, but the only thing I would ask is that people who at some point we just, to me, and again, I don't give 2 shits in the end of the day, but we just seem to have a huge list of reserved. Like, I think Scott's got like 35 repeaters reserved. I joke, but if you have reserved some in the past and you don't need it, when you get a chance, just go release it. Like Man X Mariner's got a whole bunch of them. Like you got like Test Gulf Coast and Plug Gear's got a bunch of them. Now, Plug Gear has some of these repeaters, but he has them in Pearl River, and no observers can see it. But if you happen to have reserved, please just go into the go release it if you're not planning on using it. If you still plan on using that because you plan on buying non-grumpy repeaters, hey, I'm all happy for you. Keep them reserved then. But I'll just, not that I ever want to make this channel about me pushing my product, and Scarlett and Mike have been a gigantic instrumental help for me getting this off the ground, but there were several people who were pissed off and upset because I did not give enough notice when the first set of boards got released. Tomorrow at noon, unless the boss calls me in his office and sidetracks me, but my plan is tomorrow at noon I'm planning on releasing either 20 or 30 more boards. I haven't decided yet. I'm looking to see what's going on for sale, and I'm hoping at the end of this week, being next week, Mike and Scarlett and everybody, we kind of have this repeater itself ready to go, and I can start. I don't want to take any pre-orders in that repeater until I know we can get every single part, and that we know we have the box down pat or anything like that, or everything like that. So, hopefully in about 2 weeks, we should be able to start seeing repeaters pre-ordered. We should be able to make our date for the Slidell Ham Fest. I know, look, I appreciate the fire department wanting to buy 10 repeaters off the bat. It got me very excited, but I'm not going to do that to y'all. I know a lot of y'all have been waiting here a lot longer than the fire department has. So my plan is the first 20 between the Ham Fest and y'all to sell those first, and then the next batch, that 10 the fire department can have. Not have, but you know what I'm saying. But we still got a lot of work ahead of us. If y'all haven't seen the website, grumpymesh.com, I wanted to add on Discord. Let me see if I can find it. Some of the pictures. I've been printing them. If y'all want to check the picture section out, or the comments, whatever you want to call it. Mike has been doing some updates, some testing with his. I'm posting those pictures now, and I have the one that I printed at my office. And what my plan is they will have both. They will have a flat back for people who want a flat back, or if you look at Mike's picture, he has the curved back one for poles. You'll be able to do kind of either one. Still working on testing out Wi-Fi antennas and stuff like that. But that is basically what the Grumpy repeater is going to look like. My question, I know there's a lot
You
of
know, a dab of silicone will lock that antenna in place. Just a little dab of it. You don't have to worry about it flopping around.
Well, luckily I got Mike, who can, anything I can dream of, he can print. And my plan is to actually, I want something a little more sturdy than that, because I don't want some bird landing on it and something happening to it. I want to have some kind of little hook or something underneath there. So when that antenna comes off at a 90 degrees from the side of it, underneath it, that there's a hook or something supporting that 90-degree one. Because, I guess I can ask y'all this is, right now I'm testing three different antennas. I got one that's completely directional. If y'all have seen these before, I'm gonna snap a picture of it right here. I'm gonna put my hand next to it just so you can kind of see the size of it. But this is what I have on like two of my repeaters right now, and I'm getting 200 feet down from it, from a tower. like part of me, I just want to make one repeater and just ship one repeater, not worry about all these options. But part of me kind of wants to give the people what they want. So anybody who is getting a repeater that's just going to go on top of their house, I can put this antenna on the inside, and you won't have to worry about a Wi-Fi antenna hanging off the bottom of it. Or if you're going to put it on a building that's only 100 feet tall, this antenna would work, or one of the smaller little whip ones would work. But there's a whip one that I just got in, and it's long, but it supposedly you can hit Wi-Fi from 500 feet away. But I don't want to go put a foot long antenna on everybody's repeater either. You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. That's why I kind of want to give it as a choice, but
Make it as an option if you're going to do it that way, depending on if you're going to put the internal antenna or the external antenna.
yeah, like I just put a picture. Like, you see this thing, this thing's long. That's what she said. But still, I don't want to put this long ass antenna for somebody who's putting this on top of their house or their shed. But if you're going to put this on a 400, 500 foot tower at some point, you want this antenna. Because that's the whole point of the Grumpy antenna, is to be able to update firmware from the ground and not have to Bluetooth into it right next to it. So we still got some R&D to do and some testing to do. And I'm also looking at, just because there's so many people requesting it, I wanted to ask y'all while I have the group here, these metal boxes from like AliExpress, they used to be the Nebra boxes from, I call them the Nebra boxes. Has anybody used one of those? Like, I'm curious how they put an end connector on the top. Pat said this about like the drill, but there are some that's already threaded on top where you can put your own end connector, or a hole on top. You can put your own end connector. Because I'm thinking about already not pivoting, because I'm going to continuously have this repeater, but make a second repeater with the metal box, because I'm getting several requests for a metal box repeater. Once I started putting up pictures on my website that this is going to be a 3D printed box, I got people already asking for a metal box. I know somebody on the Discord shared some of these outdoor boxes from AliExpress and stuff like that. Has anybody ever built a repeater out of an empty box before?
Yeah, we did some out of a regular, one of those locking boxes that had the little seal on it. They were weatherproof and stuff. We did some 2 meter and 440 stuff in one of those. And for putting mounting antenna mounts, we had to use a green leaf punch to knock the holes in them.
I've got one right here. I can see if I can put I got one of the neighbor boxes. You didn't have one when you did your helium stuff?
Once the helium went to crap, I think I threw it away, but I might have one. But you also got to figure out how the hell you put the solar panel in the front of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just not. It just doesn't seem as easy as people are making it out to be.
Right.
I mean, if I get enough people who want that crap, then I'll just charge the difference of having to deal with it. Because it ain't just, it's going to cost me $14 more. It's going to be harder to deal with, And then poor Mike.
Depending on where you buy them, Brad, but if they're on eBay, they were $35.
Well, yeah, I'm sharing the screen right now. You can get them on, I don't know the sizes of this. You can get them on, that's $27 by the time you put shipping with it. But then I said, you still got to drill a hole maybe on that front or back or whatever that is to try to get the solar panel through it.
Yeah, that's cast. You're not going to drill through that.
Yeah. So as I was saying,
or you'll drill through it. It'll be ugly.
Right. That's why I didn't deal with the metal boxes. I got enough people asking. I was gonna call it the Grumpy, instead of the Grumpy King repeater, I was gonna call it the Grumpy Knight, like knight in shining armor type crap. I'm horrible with names. And I got people asking for the hideaway ones. Like we were talking about on Discord with the who was that had the one that the little, I call it the HOA repeaters, but the little small repeaters that we were talking about the other day. And Scarlett said he don't think he likes the radios like I'm using.
Sorry, I just stepped back in. What was that?
Hey, Grump, you're not gonna believe it, but the little connector that we use for the all of our boxes, that's the bulk mount, it literally screws into the top mount of that box.
I said that, like, I knew there was a box out there that did that. Now, what box is that?
It's the Nebra box. I got it off eBay.
It says Nebra on it. Send me a picture of it.
Yeah, it says Nebra. I'm actually screwing the connector in right now. I'm gonna send you a picture.
Did that have all the Nebra crap inside of it? The guts, and you had to take it out?
No, it was empty. It was empty. Looked like it's never been installed, but it has a Nebra sticker on the front of it. This actually connector fits in there really nice. Let me get some pictures of it for you, and I'll send it to you.
Nebra is the manufacturer of a bunch of the helium. They had the helium outdoor devices. But I got a friend of mine who's a good friend of mine, lives in Slidell, and his daughter, if I've told this story before, passed away like 2 years ago, and they got a memorial for her. And me and him always talk about hunting in his HOA and shit. So the little small form factor repeater, that's going to be a lot later this year. I got to give Mike and Scarlett a break at some point. But this is going to be for like hunting camps and HOAs and shit. I am working on that also because I've had several people ask, but I got to get through the first set of everything.
You've been to the Outpost website or Meshsmith?
Yes, I'm familiar with Meshsmith. How about that? So I'm sharing right now on my screen for those who can see it. That is the Nebra outdoor box. As y'all can see, it does say Nebra on it. It's only $1,200.
$1,200. You've lost your mind.
Well, listen, you joke, but what it is this person, it does not realize that helium is no more. In 2021, this was a steal at $1,200. If anybody's ever heard my claim to fame, was me, my buddy I was just talking about, another buddy, we bought one for $5,000. But once installed, we also ROI'd in 17 days. That's the craze with helium. When you hear people talk about helium, and that's why so many people have so much crap left over from helium that they can use onto mesh core, is because that's the kind of money we're making back then. Where we got stupid is we thought we'd all be millionaires, so we just kept buying more devices and more devices and more devices and more antennas and shit. And then when that kind of money went away, now we're stuck with 30 devices and hardly anything to show.
Did you? I sent those pictures to the message part. I mean, it literally screwed right in there perfectly. I'm like, this is unbelievable. So how much are the boxes on? How much were they on the other location on
AliExpress? On AliExpress, the boxes are $14, but it's $14 to ship.
So you're $30. You're back where eBay price.
Right.
I wonder if you buy more than one, if you can get them cheaper.
I still have to figure out how to do solar panel.
It comes with a metal backer plate inside. Mine did. You really want some kind of plastic or nylon backer board in there.
Yeah, but like Russ is sharing the thing from, Meshsmith. But but part of me is I just feel dirty buying a board from a box from Meshsmith that I'm turning around and selling on my website. And at $35 a piece, that's gonna get expensive if I have to start buying 20 of them to sell repeaters. So
Has anyone found the original manufacturer of it? Because there's no way he's producing them.
no, he's getting them from somewhere else and adding the side pieces to it and that kind of shit like that. because even the other guy is it Alva repeaters or Alva something, Alvatronics or something like that, Avatronics. He's selling them also. Avalox. He's selling a box that looks like that also. Atlavox. I thought he was. I might be losing my mind. No, I don't see it. He had at one time like 2 or 3 different kind of boxes. Oh, this is his box, $70. But now he might be making his own box.
Yeah, but isn't that either milled or intruded or something?
He's got a power button on his. Where's Mike at? We got to redo my whole box now.
No, it'd be easy to add that.
No.
I never
No.
removed it all the way. It's in the CAD still.
Pat said no power button. Some crackhead.
I promise you,
crackhead's gonna climb the tower and hit my power button.
Yep, they will. Oh, what's that do? Don't. Oh, they turned it off. And they'll open your boxes up too. I've gone up on towers and found doors opened up on boxes.
Yeah, these boxes are a bit much, even on eBay. $89, $115, because I guess they all still containing. I'm gonna tell you, you can pull out the inside and make a pie out of it. It's got a pie inside of it, so you're still getting something out of it.
I just posted a box. It's an EP67 box from Hawk Electronics for $19, 5 by 3 by 2. I'm sure they've got bigger sizes. I posted in the chat.
Yeah, that box is different. It's got a door that.
Why would you want to go metal?
We do, but that box didn't have a hinge door, where the Niebuhr box has got a hinge door. But you don't really need a hinge door.
I guess
No,
my
you
question is, what are the advantages of going with a die-cast aluminum box?
Some people
versus-
think it helps with shielding. I don't know. I'm trying to find my let me see somewhere on here.
If all you made was a metal box, you'd have people asking for
Oh,
polymer
absolutely.
box. Like, it doesn't matter which way you go, somebody's always going to ask for whatever option you decided not to do. You can't get sucked into trying to make everybody happy.
Amen.
That's why I say you need to build the box you want, and if they'll buy it. Most people are going to buy it because you're going to make a good box.
So
Build a rocket.
I'm sharing my screen right now for you, just to show you what this is like. On my screen, I have 119 responses. That's 119 people answered. Now, some of them are completely lopsided that helped me make my decision, right? So when you go, what type of housing enclosure do you want? It's basically 50-50. 50 people wanted ABS plastic. I said ABS plastic, but it was ASA. Or some type of aluminum box. And actually, the aluminum box beat it out by 1 vote. So that goes to show you, like, even the answer, talking to 120 people, you can't get a straight answer.
Give me the link. I'll fix that.
Yeah. Well,
I'm kidding.
I go back every now and then and just go over this whole questionnaire again and just think it's hilarious that of all these people, like all these people that answer how you can't get straight answers. Like it's
Well, it's not straight answers. You're asking everybody for their opinions. Everybody's going to want something all different. Just like Urban said, you're not going to make everybody happy. I mean, it is what it is. Make it for what you want it to be.
well, I asked everybody if the perfect repeater exists, and if so, what is the ready to go pre-built perfect repeater? And I got people saying the Seed P1 Pro. Like whoever answered that should get the rest of their questions booted up. I mean, rest of their answers booted out. That's all.
Well, the thing to remember is even if that's split 50-50 between metal box and a polymer box, that depends too. If the price is the same, sure, it might be 50-50. But are they willing to spend an extra $20 or an extra $30 to get a metal box instead? You never know.
No, I agree with you, and that's why I'm concentrating on the ASA 3D plastic boxes first. I gotta go buy a 3D printer probably at the end of this week. My wife doesn't know yet. I'm gonna tell her it belongs to Pat. And then I'm gonna concentrate on that first, and then I'll bring on as a completely different repeater. Because depending on what you can fit in there, I might have to go with different batteries. If we're gonna use the same board, it's gonna be a little bit different. So I can't sell the same repeater I am now and just say, hey, here's an option. Do you want metal box or whatever? I want to put it out
Y'all
there.
heard
Hey,
him say that, right?
What?
He's done told her it belongs to Pat. So next time he goes out of town, I'll just go to the house and tell his wife, hey, I came here to get my printer. And she'll just, okay, here, go ahead and get it.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
But I'm just gonna get Luke to print shit for me while he's at work doing
There you
nothing.
go.
Well, I'm out. I'm out of stuff to talk about. I think I talked long enough. Anybody got anything?
The one thing I did want to bring up is with regions, we may have to look into setting up some. I know there are issues with this, but for people that are running home companions, it may be worth seeing about making it a little bit easier, more documentation on setting up like Heltec V3, Heltec V4 observers with regions, because we won't be able to log as much traffic and be able to monitor the network.
See, Raph on my YouTube says he's also read that a metal box is better in order to not get outside interference from other devices. So, I mean, I'm sure it would help a little bit. But I had somebody else complain when we were discussing this that they think it's going to hold heat more and the box would be hotter than what a 3D plastic one would be.
That's the way I feel. I mean, if you're worried about RF coming in, it's going to come in on the antenna.
It's going to come in on the antenna, right? Yeah, as a good businessman, I'm just listening to what the customer wants. If you want to send me an extra $40 to have a metal box, brother, I'm gonna build it for you. I'm not saying I agree with it or not, but if that's what I got, I'm telling you, I got several requests on it. So it's not like it's just one person bitching. I got several. Hey, let me know when you do a metal box. Hey, I'll get one if you're doing a metal box. And what's your plans for a metal box? I'm getting several, emails about it and shit like that. So give them what they want. It's just, I'm not dealing with that right now. I want to get these boards sent out. I want to get the repeaters done, the ham thing behind me. And then, the boards I'm selling tomorrow would be going out mid-September, because you got to buy 30 more boards and Scarlett's got to put them together and stuff. In between all that, then is when I would start looking at a metal box and how we're going to build it and stuff, source it and everything else. Whew. What else y'all got? Anybody?
Hey, Mesh, are you still in here? That guy was talking with the coding earlier.
Yeah, I'm here.
I don't know if our messages are getting out, but I can hear you in the beta. But I don't think Yeah, I don't know. Has anybody seen any of the messages that me and him sent out tonight?
What's your
I see copy and
name?
Biloxi received. Does this make sense with a
It's
coding rate
Pro
of
Magnum
8?
and Mesher.
I see Mesher. I don't see Pro
I see
Magnum.
Mesher too. Mesher
I
and
see Hanky, MG1103. I see Russ, WI5IRD. Yeah, that's about it.
is that a dent?
What
Is that
what path is Mesher coming through? Is he coming through the HVAC repeater?
Yeah. Yeah. Who said that one that one just popped up? That's kind of what got me connected to the mesh.
That's mine at my work.
What's it called?
HVAC.
Yeah,
HVAC
HVAC.
in
Yep.
Mandeville.
Yep. I see that.
Yeah. So I set up an observer, and honestly, that helped me kind of figure out what's going on.
You set up an observer. Did you get what Scarlett? Does she have that upload into everything?
Yeah. Yeah. It's uploading. It's
Awesome.
XOR.
Okay. That's
And
awesome. Is it uploading to Wave so that they can is it Wave? Is that what it was called?
it's going to the Gulf Coast mesh map.
Scarlett, you still there? Or you bowed out?
I'm here. Sorry, I stepped away for a moment.
Is his observer, you got him uploading to the Wave also to help us with our ranking?
I don't believe so, but what I'm thinking about doing is because I'm trying to clean up everything with how we have some stuff still running on Meshtastic. I may start just pumping directly. Well, you can't do that with Wave. I'll shoot you a message about it. If you can add that's by the PyMC folk, isn't it?
Wave? No. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes and no. Yes. I'm getting confused my own self. Like everybody's coming out with somebody contacted me the other day about some new rank. I'm like, every week there's some new, like, what's wrong with the 7 we got now? Like, do we need another ranking? You know, part of me wants to support people who are tinkering and doing this stuff, but part of me is like, well, you're really sitting around and said like the first 7 of these explorers and analyzers and rankings didn't didn't fit what you wanted to do, so you had to come up with your own. Like,
I feel like to a point, and if not, just pull from people's MPTTs rather than forcing everyone to start pushing to yours. But
I haven't looked at Wave lately to see what our rank is. Last I looked, we weren't even ranked in the top 20 anymore, man. We were struggling.
I look with us people they are. Where's that located, Scarlett?
Sorry?
What's that page that has our rankings?
That's on the Wave site. If Grumpy wants to send it over, I can probably.
Yeah, I got it right here. WAEV. I'm sharing it now in the group. Southern California, Appalachia, Albuquerque. Man, how are we losing to Albuquerque? Come on, man. For fuck's sake. Yeah, we are no longer in the top 20. But I don't think it's not really ranked on how many nodes are up or how many repeaters up. It's a dynamic of it knows how much diversity we got, observers we have. I really think that once we didn't bring that up tonight, but once Lafayette gets on board, that's really going to put us back up in that top 20. And I know some people in Lafayette have switched this to SF7 because you can see them on Explorer hitting. They're hitting into Pat's 2 new repeaters up there, Bachelor and Morganza. See, like, this is bullshit. San Antonio, Texas can't be ranked 7. They got 2 repeaters.
Yeah, I don't think that thing votes correctly.
Yeah, I'm not sweating that one no more. I'm gonna have to contact him and find out what the hell.
I think it's time for Scarlett to make her own ranking system, and
she's
so
got
we can
enough.
really know
I got her busy with enough shit. She's got three brand new repeaters I'm inventing in my head. Every day I'm inventing a new repeater and just backing her up as if she ain't got enough own stuff to do.
We got to send it to Dan. Then Dan, you're gonna figure out what rank we really are.
Dan's quiet.
I've got a quick,
Mike. I mean,
repeater
Pat.
question, if it's not too late to ask one. Is anybody doing any low charging cutoff based on freezing temperatures? Has anybody seen any dead lithium-ion batteries from trying to solar charge them below freezing temperatures?
I saw a cool write-up by somebody who must be related to me because it was very asshole-ish, if that's the word. And I forget what area he was in, but he was in some frozen tundra area talking about how these people, like in the middle of America, who don't have to worry about it, are all worried about lithium, like blowing up and freezing and all stuff like that, and how they're not having any issues with this in Canada. I don't know if anybody else saw that write-up. I shared a link to it, I think, in the Discord. But I don't know of anything because, like, what are you going to do? Like, somebody was like, you can't be using lithium in these repeaters. I'm like, okay, so what you going to use? Alkaline? Like, nobody's going to put it something different. And, you know, and they were worried about, like, us or Texas with the heat. I'm like, Arizona's 110 degrees. We're not hearing stories on Facebook about mesh core repeaters blowing up. You know, I've put screwdrivers and drill bits through my lithium batteries on accident. And other than some secret poof smoke that came out,
People think all lithium batteries are created equal, and they're not. LiPo batteries are much more volatile than others. I've had LiPo batteries catch on fire and get from being overused and abused, but that's LiPo. It's the other batteries I've never had an issue with.
now I do hear we're in for a very cold winter and wet, frozen winter for El Nino, but I can only pray and hope that that's true because
Well, I heard it was going to be not as cold, but very wet.
No, I don't know. But Pat, I'm hearing a rumor that there's a rumor going around that is Russ still in here? Russ is or KG5CEN.
I'm here.
There's a rumor going around that the Slido Hamfest might be postponed.
I've not heard that.
There's a sorry, cat's out of the bag already. One of the vendors already responded to the 147 that I think he said it was canceled. I didn't hear what it was. I got a phone call about it. That there was a conflict with the facility, so they're looking at sliding it a week or two. So it's not completely canceled. They just haven't established a date yet, and Dave hasn't had enough time to send that out.
Always a Dave.
Yeah, Buddy from Gloucester, he's one of the vendors that comes down and brings some radios. So apparently he made an announcement that it had been canceled. It's still going. The date just has not been defined yet.
I can tell you now, if it's in October, Pat's gonna be taking my spot.
Yeah, I got court in October sometime. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, on the positive side, I don't have to worry about having 10 repeaters on the side for the Slido Hamfest. I could sell them. If there's a
You
positive.
can always bring them to, well, they won't be ready in 2 weeks.
I was hoping it was so ready in 2 weeks. I really wanted them to be ready in 2 weeks, but they're not going to be ready in 2 weeks. I really wanted to try to make Huntsville.
Yep,
and
on the 20th.
I really wanted to have them out for that, but I don't think that's going to happen.
There's still a Slidell Hamfest is coming up. The date just hasn't been announced on which one it is.
Right. Yeah, and that's what I meant. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said the word canceled. I meant that the one on September is actually technically canceled for that day. It's going to be postponed to TBA. That's what I guess I should have said. Postponed until TBA. And now my concern is just what the TBA day is going to be, because I got something going on, excuse me, almost every weekend in October. But who knows? And November too. So 17. I got engagement parties. I got a Missouri trip going on. I got Disney World going on. Yeah, October's horrible for me. but
They
that's
could
just
maybe
me.
move it to a different building. I mean, there's other buildings in Slidell.
Yeah, how come? What about where y'all used to have it by John Slidell Park? That was a cool building. Wasn't that John Slidell Park years ago when I used to go to?
Yeah, probably about 4 years ago, I think was the last one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I just started this afternoon. Been doing yard work.
Yep.
Got done and cooled off, and I got a phone call of announcements being made.
That sounds like something the Hammond people would do. Oh, sorry, Russ. I just saw you were in there.
Yeah, you can't trust it.
Yep.
Where's Tyrone at?
I ain't seen Tyrone in here lately. He was in here for a little while.
I hadn't either.
And I checked on Sammy because I ain't seen or heard from him lately, but he's got a lot of family things going on. He's been busy, retirement and all that.
Is his wife retiring?
Yep.
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 I mean, when y'all said cancel it, that first thing I thought was that's some bull crap. Somebody trying to say that Hamfest is canceled when it really wasn't, because people do that. When we used to have two New Orleans Hamfests and they fought between the two brothers.
Well, I just got a message that Ross has been made an admin for Mesh Mapper in Gulfport. So that's a good positive step in a good direction.
Yeah.
It was Man X.
Max Mariner?
Yeah, he quit. His repeaters are offline, and he's quit all the Discords unless he just has me blocked and I can't see him. But
no, I think he flipped the card table and went home. I even messaged him a couple of times about D1CE when it went down. He has like a little Facebook group with like 10 people in it. I guess he tried to start, and he put a post up saying it was dead, not coming back. And I reached out to him. I was like, I will put a repeater up for you. I was like, if you got the access to the location, I'll pay to put one there. And he never got back to me. So I guess he's like, screw you guys.
yeah, it's unfortunate, man. I'm trying to be mature about it, and not say what I really want to say about it. But what I'll say is that kind of like to go off the message I said earlier today, where some people just read text messages wrong. Oh, look, we've all did that. Is you're reading a text message from somebody, you're like, damn, did he mean it? Really mean it? Like, and if it's from me, I did probably mean it like to be an asshole. But some people though. But some people, all jokes aside, read text and they get the wrong idea about them. And the first time that's what happened, and I'm like, I reached out to him like, hey man, you totally read my message wrong. I did not mean it like you're taking it. I apologize. I'm sorry. Come back. You're doing some good stuff, helping build the mesh. And I took the high road, and I was like, I'm apologizing for something that I didn't do anything wrong, but I can do that the first time. But the second time, we were all discussing plans for something, and then he makes an asshole comment like, oh, I don't want to go piss off the king. And I'm like, how am I the king when you came up with these goofy codes all on your own, and you're doing your own thing and not working with anybody? With the Mesh Mapper people reached out to you, and several of us reached out to you trying to plan stuff. Lafayette was on board, Emerald Coast was on board, Alabama was on board, and you went and did your own shit. How am I the king? And he flipped his card table over and fucking left. And I'm like, fuck it this time. Like, I apologize the first time. This time I meant it. Like, don't call me the king. I work with everybody. And it's unfortunate because he had a good spot in Biloxi and he was doing good. Like, I don't know. We were supposed to kiss his ass more. I don't know. Again,
It's no big deal. We'll find other spots.
yeah, I mean, it's just unfortunate. It's unfortunate that people have to be like that when he was contributing in a positive way for the mesh. Some people just, I don't know.
So did you guys mention earlier that you saw a message come over from, was it this dude Dent? Did y'all see that?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it in Jackson.
You got it in Jackson? Yeah,
Yeah.
because he's hitting my repeater I got the message here, and I was like, "Oh, cool. Where you at?" And he was saying he's on the 22nd floor of the IP.
See, I didn't get that.
Where's that?
I
Where's that
got
at?
The
IPs in
casino over
Biloxi.
there. Yeah, the IP.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, Dent says he copied in Biloxi. You look at his message path, and he's coming off the Long Beach 1 watt. Then, of course, the Stennis, Madisonville, Albernay repeater, Albemarle repeater. Wait, that's behind me. And then the EOC tower to me. That went way past me and then came back like it boomeranged. At least for me.
Yeah, that means if we could get. Didn't somebody in here say they had a connection at the Scarlet Pearl or the IP? If we can get a repeater up on either one of those, that's going to be just massive. Oh, it was Ross. Okay, I see it. I see you there. I saw what Mesh said.
Oh, yeah, I was looking at that. Go ahead, Scarlett.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying, assuming I have extra boards available, which we'll see. I'll provide the board for that because I'd love to say it's Scarlet's on the Scarlet.
We're gonna call Scarlett's repeater Scarlett's Web.
Wait, Scarlett's making her own repeater? Wait, I missed that. I was reading something in my ADD. Wait, what she said?
No, I'm talking about when we put a repeater somewhere close to her. It's gonna be Scarlett's Web.
It was the joke of on the what's that, the Scarlet Wonty casino. It was a joke on I'll provide the board for it just so I can say yeah.
I want to know what's going on with this companion. I think you need to clear the air because you about caused a ride in this place. And I was in San Antonio and I'm like, what the shit? I leave for a week and all these kids just go crazy as soon as I leave the house. Like, what? Like, so just to clear the air, were you just like saying, hey, I'm thinking about making a companion? Or were you asking some people for, let's clear that first, because that's what I think started a lot of shit. And some people didn't know if you were asking for opinions or were you just saying, hey, I'm thinking about starting a companion, period, shut your mouth.
I don't know.
You don't know.
I was one of the parties of that. I
have
somebody else made some comments about it, and I definitely was under the impression that she was making a project for herself and sharing it. And if anybody else wanted to jump on, they were welcome to.
I think I was. Sorry, go ahead.
I sort of backed what the other person was saying from that perspective. But if I was, like I said, I said it for everybody to see. But if I was misunderstanding that, then I misunderstood it. That was definitely the impression I got. It was a personal pet project.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I've had several people ask me, as if I don't have enough shit going on, am I making a companion also because they wanted I guess somebody out there's got, I don't know if it's on Amazon or something. Somebody out there has a some kind of like group thing where you can get a companion and a repeater, and they want to know if I'm gonna do something like that. So I never really thought about it because I have no idea how to start a companion. And I think my board's gonna be too big for a companion. So I didn't really think twice about it. And then when I hear that she's possibly coming up with one, and I'm like, hey, I'm all for it. You know, but I don't know. Now go ahead, Scarlett.
I honestly, because so the original design for it was just because every note I've tried to carry in my purse, it's hard to carry, and I just wanted something, and I forget to charge it. I hate taking something out, plugging it in. So it was designed off of just because I have 18650s. It feels like everywhere, so I can just grab one before leaving, pop it in. I have a node that will last 4 or 5 days. And I really didn't think the demand for it would be that high because I initially wasn't thinking about doing it a screen or anything really fancy. And then I was just kind of talking about it. Just, I guess, more of just kind of curious is if if there was any interest in it. I guess is kind of what I was going. I'm not I'm not entirely sure.
I think my biggest, and I don't mean this in a selfish way, because I'm sure it's going to come across selfish. Do you have the time for it? Because it seems like right now I'm already bogging you down, and I feel really bad because I'm bothering you so much about ordering all the parts for my stuff and the board stuff and everything like that. Like, do you have the time on additional of actually having a life to put a companion together?
Well, I've been debating on dropping the having a life side. That would give
Oh
me
yeah,
the
that's
time,
overrated. I
but
gave that shit up a long time ago. My niece,
um,
my niece texted me today. She's like, "What's this I hear about you started?" Again, she found out about the fundraiser thing with my friend's daughter's scholarship fund, whatever. She says, "What's this I hear about you started this mesh thing with this started the business? How do you have time for that?" And I'm like, "I don't. I just don't sleep now. It's like I was sleeping for 4 hours before, but that shit's overrated. So now I'm not sleeping at all." Um, so yeah, you give up having a life and you miss out on certain things and stuff. But I keep telling myself it'll be worth it in the end. It just seems like the end never comes, you know. But
yeah, I need this stuff for my resume. So um, but on more of a serious note, I probably won't. I kind of have the PCB down on how I like it, but in terms of like actually getting it produced, getting testing units done, probably after at least this first batch, probably the second batch, um, and when I can kind of relax a little bit more and put some time into it. So probably a month out, maybe longer. I'm not entirely sure.
sounds good. I'll start advertising it now on the website. I mean, I got more coming soon shit than I do actually stuff on the website. So, you know, that's why I didn't make the coming soon for the Grumpy Night one. So I can get a box that and have the time to screw with it.
So I
Hey,
did want
Grumpy,
to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
go ahead. I've been looking at this company that makes those boxes that we were looking at, those aluminum boxes. They got like 15 different sizes, and they're really reasonably priced. Now they don't talk anything about shipping, but they got all kind of sizes, aluminum boxes.
You're gonna give
They're
me
nice.
anxiety.
I know, but
It's one of the things, like I get these new ideas in my head and I'm like dealing with it and I want to dig into it, but I know I'm telling myself that I got too much other shit. You know, I got to pre-order boards, then the repeaters I got to deal with, and then the another pre-order board that starts tomorrow. Like, I just don't want to stack up too much, and then all that needs boards, like the actual repeater board. So, you know, this, I hate to say it because while it did fit perfectly in 3 or 4 weeks, postponing this Slido Hamfest is actually a good thing for me as long as it's not postponed too much. You know, for somebody who's as poor as shit as I am, it sounds bad that I got this many trips planned between October and November. But my wife says we're going to Disney World and don't worry about where the money's coming from. So I don't worry about it.
I
So
think
I
this
did.
hobby hit me at a bad time. It was like I just got rid of a four-wheeled hobby and turned around. And I'm like, ooh, now I can get into this.
If there's ever a good time for a hobby, let's be honest. Kind of like boats, you know, the best time for a guy who owns a boat, the day he buys it and the day he sells it. You know, it's
bust out another 1,000.
yeah.
Jeep, just empty every pocket.
It's like that.
We got to
You
make
know,
up one for mesh now.
the old joke is like, hey, if you don't want to get your kids hooked on drugs, just get them hooked on ham radio stuff because they can't afford drugs if they start, you know, if they start buying ham radio shit.
Well, the
Or
solution
whatever
there is
else.
just to start producing the hardware.
Yeah. Luke, you still here? Oh, he's snuggling. Must have put his phone down and forgot he's online. All right. Anybody got anything else? Because I can't hold it any longer. It's about to come out my eyeballs. I tried not to drink too much before we started tonight, just so I wouldn't have to go and get up 3 times. Anybody got anything else? Anybody got anything about, I don't know where we left off of region codes.
It's over with.
Wait, what?
A region code area is over with for the day. Don't get started on that again. You'll have be another 30 minutes.
I don't want to repeat myself, but I'm so worried about explaining it to people that I just start beating in the dead horse.
Yet. There's no reason, bring it out again because we're not 100% on how we're going to do it. Who else is going to do it? And it's just a thought right now.
But I threw a 3-year-old temper tantrum last night. I shared that if any of y'all saw the AA Ron video with the teacher that gets all pissed off every time somebody says a new name and he gets all pissed off. Yeah. And so last night we discussing this, and then somebody's like, at this caboose, he's like, I just found out that Florida's implementing this code. I'm like, motherfucker, like, where did this come from? Like, nobody was discussing this code US South by itself. And then all of a sudden, they discussed it. And okay, I'm like, shit, like, this is getting ridiculous. Then 15 minutes later goes and he says, hey, I just found out somebody's going to implement US East. And I'm like, motherfucker, like, fuck this, I quit. It was just like that video. Like, every time this new mesh comes up, US something, I'm just throwing this fit because it's like, this is getting ridiculous. Like, there's no way we can be able to add all this. And this is the whole point is, I brought this up in 10 mesh and I'm like, y'all want to use US Southeast, but the problem is at some point, Southeast ends and there's going to be a border where repeaters across the street from each other ain't going to listen because Southeast is technically not Louisiana. So if Mississippi Southeast, you see what I'm saying? Like, at some point it's got to end. Texas ain't going to put Southeast, or New Mexico's not going to put Southeast. There's the same thing now with East. So somewhere there's going to be a border between East and Southeast, and y'all not going to be able to text on public across the street from each other. Right? At some point, you see what I'm saying? At some point it's got to stop. You can't use US East all the way in California, so somewhere it's got to, that code's going to stop and shit ain't going to work. Like, I don't know what the answer is, to be honest with you. And then now the 10 mesh guys decided that they're not holding public opinion anymore. They shut it down August 1st, and now they're going into private talks on how they're going to figure it out. Well, how are you going to, I love the 10 mesh guys. I watch the dude's YouTube video all the time. That's the most calmest talking black dude you've ever met in your life. He looks cool as shit. I'd love to hang out with him. I'd love to do a collab with him with YouTube channels. He's very knowledgeable YouTube. I forget his YouTube channel. But anyway, but my point is, how are you going to go into, this is a regional thing. How are you going into private talks now? Am I just being a dick and bitching too much, or do y'all kind of agree with that? Like, it's a regional thing. I don't know.
You invite too many opinions and nobody's ever agree on anything, though. At some point it becomes a build it and they will follow.
Listen, I agree with you, but you're talking to the guy who is paranoid as shit, that don't want to be called the king. I don't want to be called the boss. I don't want to be called, like, this is for all of us. Yes, I'm trying to keep us all herded, all the cats in the right direction and get us all in the right direction. But I do understand, like, some people do tell me that, like, we just got to make a decision and go with it. But I want to invite everybody's input, because I don't want nobody to say Conrad's making all the decisions. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't.
Well, the fact of the matter is you are in the best position to take the lead for a vast majority of us because of the position you're in. Yes, you don't like it when he cracks a joke about being the king or whatever. You don't like that, and you don't want anybody to think you really believe that, which is, we don't. We get it. That's fine.